Seo Juhian thought to himself, the kidnapping of enemy restorers happened frequently before I died, but that was a trick used by the King of Fate. Is this just a coincidence or is he really the one behind Jiang, Richard and Francisco? But that doesn't matter now. He confidently said into the microphone, from now on, everything we say is the truth. Write it all down, it will be special. There is a reason why Jiang Richard wants to make you Jaeha disappear, just listen to this person's explanation. Jaeha, the camera moved to the tense brown-haired boy beside him. He made up his mind and said loudly, Jiang Richard plagiarized my paintings. This happened when I was a student and he was a teacher. Yu Jaeha shouted, Jiang Richard's drawing style known to the world is actually mine, that bastard. Seo Juhian continued, and that's why he wanted to cover it up, he wanted to kill the owner of the paintings he plagiarized, it was disgusting. The host frowned at him, was that true? The bald guy replied nervously, no, it was, but he couldn't come up with any excuse. Come to think of it, there was a similar scandal before. On the other side, Juhian grinned, now, why don't you explain? Jiang Richard gritted his teeth, he smiled smugly, if only he had that ability. The projection screen enlarged the image of Seo Juhian and Yu Jaeha standing. The sound coming from the projector, say it son, say it louder. Jiang Richard clenched his hands on his thighs and trembled as he opened his mouth to say, me. He sat up and pointed his finger, shouting, he is a bastard, he is a liar, don't believe him. The man in the black suit sat there calmly, telling him that he thought the boy was not telling the truth. When asked, he shouted back, of course he was. The man in the black suit seemed to be a lawyer, he continued calmly. If so, try to provide some evidence. The question made him stunned and asked back, what? It seemed he didn't have any evidence. The lawyer smiled gently and explained that he had the right to remain silent, but anything he said would be used as evidence in court. He was at a loss for words, so he gritted his teeth and looked at her angrily, unable to say anything. The three men remained standing at the camera, their faces tense. The lawyer was still smiling, he looked on angrily thinking, damn, this guy is forcing me into a corner. He looked at them tremblingly, thinking in panic that if he didn't say anything, he would lose everything. But if he said the wrong thing, it would be the end. He gritted his teeth, looking quite frightened, sweat pouring down his wrinkled face. Jiang Richard was nervous, pointed at himself and looked at the lawyer and said, okay, I will say it. The words made the lawyer sitting there gasp and smile. He continued, I originally came to the tomb to conquer it but was defeated by it, so there was no other way. The lawyer asked again, so now what, they conquered the third crypt before him? Sweat still dripping down his face, Jiang Richard tried to calmly smile and replied. No problem, I will definitely repay him with another tomb. He looked at the lawyer, deliberately changing the subject. Leaving that aside, I'll talk about someone saying I plagiarized. He frowned and gritted his teeth in anger. In essence, none of that was true, on the contrary, Yu Jaeha was the one who plagiarized my painting. Night comes, at the motel. Yu Jaeha was wearing a suit of armor, his face was tense and shy as he asked. Boss, the sexy pig. Seo Juhian stood in front of him, hands on hips, smiling smugly. In one hand he held a holy relic with a golden goat head, causing Jaeha to scream in fear. What are you doing? Hearing the question, he brought it closer to Jaeha's face and answered. These were all defensive holy relics, including the withered dragon blood holy relic. He brought it closer, causing you to quickly move away. He asked you. Are you done asking? You panicked and shouted. Wait, why do I have to use these things? A bright light appeared from somewhere, blinding the entire area. Jiang Richard and Francisco covered their eyes. Two people appeared out of nowhere in front of Jiang Richard, to his surprise and anger. These two people didn't even care and were talking to each other freely. Look, it worked. Ah, you're right. Seo Juhian smiled mockingly and turned his head back. You think I don't know your plan, Jiang Richard? He could only curse angrily and tremble. Damn it. He raised his pistol. Shouted. Fired. Juhian used the holy relic as a defensive shield, covering him with a blue veil that blocked attacks. Jaeha screamed in panic. Mom, save me. Juhian turned to look at Jaeha and ordered, not caring if Jaeha was scared or not. I will defend. You attack. Jaeha shouted loudly, not believing what he just said and asked again. Me? And make sure you hit that guy. That guy has the holy relic kidnapped. I mean the man standing next to Jiang Richard. A pink staff slammed down on his shield, causing him to curse. Damn it. 5 people surrounded 2 people. They shouted. If guns don't work, then use knives. Don't let him go. Yu Jaeha screamed in fear. His eyes were tightly shut. Ah, I'm going to die. Mom, save me. As he spoke, he raised his hand. The weapon in his hand began to glow. The beam of light released made Ju Hian look back a little nervously. Everything exploded. Yellow smoke appeared. Someone shouted. What? What is this smoke? Red arrows started flying towards them. Candy and baseball bats also flew towards them, making them scream and ask. Where did the arrows come from? Where did the trash come from? With that, a demon appeared, covered in black mist. Weapons were flying around it. Music and colored lightning came from somewhere. It said, "Stupid humans. Let the show begin." The others covered their ears when they heard the music from it. It looked quite painful. Yu Jeha was also affected. His eyes rolled around and he fell down with a groan. Damn it. It hurts. Ju Hian saw him faint and turned his head to look back. His face was tense as he thought. Did he faint because he used too many holy relics at the same time? He knelt down and groped around, thinking. I need to find the painting. Let's get out of here. He opened his eyes wide. Suddenly realized something. He shouted happily. Here it is. Now I just need to draw the final stroke. What Sao Ju Hian was looking for was a piece of paper with a pencil drawing of a building. Jiang Richard covered his ears with one hand to block out the deafening sound. He held the gun in one hand and called out to the unconscious man. Francisco. Wake up. This guy. He gave up on everything. He aimed his gun at him and shouted. At least I will kill you. Die. He picked up the brush. It emitted a faint golden smoke. He raised it with a smirk. Too late. He put down the pen. He drew a long line on the paper, forming the final line of the building drawing. A golden light surrounded him. He smiled smugly and glared as he added, goodbye. With that, he quickly disappeared before Richard's eyes. The beam of light closed, causing him to cry out in panic. Ah, no. Anger surged through him. He frowned, gritted his teeth, and cursed. Damn it. Richard's expression was dark now. He knelt down on the ground. He clenched his fists and raised his head to shout loudly. I will kill you, Sao Ju Hian. At this moment, he and Jeha appeared in the room thanks to teleportation. He turned to look at the still unconscious boy and laughed helplessly. He was knocked out. And here is the breaking news. The news says Francisco has been taken to the hospital. Salieri is attacking him repeatedly. The paramedics are pushing Francisco into the ambulance. He smirked as he watched, thinking, he's stronger than I thought. He looked at the TV. Jiang Richard was trying to explain this incident. He was afraid that this would affect the previous scandal. At that time, Richard was trying to call something. He crossed his arms and smiled, looking at the screen thoughtfully. What should he do now? This was just the beginning. The scene changes to the high-rise building where Ju Hian lives. Sao Ju Hian shows a piece of paper on the table. Says, look at this. Li Xiaola picked up the paper. What is this? Sao Ju Hian quickly replied. A contract agreement to join his group. Li Xiaola asked after reading it. The name is this a grave robber? He replied with a smirk. This would be more intuitive and better than a name like Squad 13 in the previous life. He continued, this is a contract for reference. When you sign the form, you will be sworn to the Holy Relic Hammurabi. If you break the contract or betray me, then watch the Holy Relic Hammurabi torture you. Hearing Sao Ju Hian's words, Xiaola was startled. Sao Ju Hian looked at her and continued. It was a standard contract when he was dealing with people who had nowhere to go. Xiaola replied to him. Why are you telling me everything? Ju Hian quickly replied to her. I just thought that you would never stab me in the back. I don't want to lie to you. Yu Jeha's Jian interrupted the conversation between the two. Yu Jeha walked over, looking angry. He said to Sao Ju Hian. It was different when you gave me your signature. Sao Ju Hian looked up at him and said. Are you awake? Sao Ju Hian pointed at the food. He said. I made breakfast. Come and eat. Jeha replied after hearing that. What happened? My taste buds are strange. Sao Ju Hian replied immediately. It seemed like it was affected because he used multiple holy relics at the same time. The image of Jeha being helpless against the holy relics appeared. At this moment, he could only cry for help. He continued. You're useless over there. Maybe you need training. Hurry up and eat. Jeha sighed. Then turned and walked towards the food. Seola glanced at Jaeha, who was eating deliciously beside her. Then she asked him. He hadn't restored his memories yet. So there's no problem. 15 years of experience. Seo Ju-hyun replied. Yeah, you're right. Meanwhile, Jaeha was busy enjoying the bread and yogurt that Seo Ju-hyun had prepared. Ju-hyun continued. But the problem was that he couldn't restore his memories. Jaeha was a good painter. After the incident, he gradually lost his confidence. And his precious ability was only used for scamming. Thus, the adverse effects increased and Pandora recognized him as the king of swindlers. His personality is getting worse and worse. I honestly don't want him to have that personality. Of course. He's still a weakling now. And now just need to train him a little. Also, I will overthrow Jiang Richard and restore his honor. I thought again about whether I should restore his dark memories. Having said that, Seo Ju-hyun thought to himself. Seeing this, all the conditions are better than the previous life. I hope this is the right choice. Seola called boss, pulling him out of his thoughts. He looked at her and asked, oh, where were we? She quickly replied to Seo Ju-hyun. In Jaeha's case, it seemed like restoring his memories was a problem. He immediately replied. Oh, you still remember his previous personality? Seola continued. I see. Looks like you made the right choice. Ju-hyun asked. Really? Jaeha was still enjoying the bread. Seola made her decision. Tell him. Okay, I'll sign the contract. He listened and said. This is a contract. But why don't you read it? I'll make sure you're safe first. Jean Chai won. Seola happily replied. Oh, thank you. The two of them talked without noticing the rope moving past where they were sitting. The rope saw Jaeha and appeared in front of him. Say. I found you. Jaeha was startled. Say it loudly. You scared me. At this point, Jaeha had calmed down. The rope continued to talk to Jaeha. It was fun playing with you. Seeing that, Jaeha replied. I'm not happy today. I'm not feeling well. The rope quickly said. Promise me. Jaeha held out his hand and said. Okay. I promise to play with you next time. Suddenly the rope got angry when Jaeha said that. It quickly tied Jaeha's body. While tying him up, it said. You're lying. Jaeha's whole body trembled. Screamed. Ah, you hurt me. And Seola and Ju-hyun just sat there and watched. Watching the fun. Seola saw this and asked him. Do things like this happen often? Seo Ju-hyun listened. Answer her. I'll get used to it soon. At that moment. At the airport. An angry voice rang out. How will he be held responsible? Kwon Tae-jun called Jiang Richard to scold him. Because of him, Francisco was hospitalized and became a useless person. Jiang Richard held the phone in one hand. He held his head in the other. He complained. Oh. My head. The other end of the line was still cursing. Why didn't you say anything? Are you deaf? He said. Yeah. I heard. But there's nothing I can do about it. His answer was 2 words. Idiot. Then came the curses. There was no chance of catching Jaeha now. He couldn't contain his anger and mess things up. Besides, he used it twice. How can a fool like him survive in this world? Kwon Tae-jun was angry. Continue. Why do you always do stupid things like this? If you continue like this, it will be difficult. Find a way to fix this quickly, Jiang Richard replied. I understand. The phone call between the two people ended. Jiang Richard was angry. He looked at the phone and cursed. Fix it, damn it. Right now I'm being brought down by that bastard Jaeha. Bastard. I can't do anything. Who can I trust now? His face was full of murderous intent. He said. Jean Chai won. She was the only one. Then he picked up the phone and called Jean Chai won. The scene changes to Damascus, Syria. At the luxury hotel. A man's voice rang out. I would like to report. 2 young men are standing reporting the situation. 2 catacombs have been successfully excavated in Lebanon. A deal has been made with the holy relic merchant here. Jean Chai won sat facing the window. After listening to the report, he said, very good. Everything is normal. Now only the unresolved tomb of jealousy remains. A young man rushed in and said in a panic. Chairman Jian Chai-won. Urgent news. How did Zhu Hian escape the tomb of jealousy? Hearing that, she turned around and asked, what? The young man explained. During the process the crypt was destroyed and the holy relics inside were robbed. Jian Chai-won rested her chin on her hand. Smiling wickedly. Said. Strange. Isn't that the tomb being watched by my holy relics? Now. A puff of orange smoke surrounded her along with the words. That was true, but he had a trick up his sleeve. It was a strange and annoying skill. I followed your instructions. The three people standing in the room were all shocked by this situation. The voice continued. However, he did something to your holy relics. Chai-won heard. Angry. Said. What? She looked at them and asked. Did you find my holy relics in the crypt? One of them replied. We didn't find anything. A voice rang out from the smoke. The holy relic had been destroyed. We could have stopped him if we were there. Jian Chai-won replied with a sour expression. Shut up. I have a job for you. She stood up and continued. You said you can monitor all users of the holy relic. You said that all users of the holy relic leave behind auras. When she finished speaking, Lin immediately had a reply. But Xiao Zhu Hian is a strange person. We must stop him immediately. Jian Chai-won looked out the window, looking at the tall buildings and said. Interesting. The voice continued to be spoken by the holy relic. Interesting. What do you mean? She replied. The holy relic. I have lived a life where I could have had everything I wanted. This is a test for me. Chai-won's face became scary. She continued. How dare you bother me? What kind of man is he? How to use him? I want to know. Eat him slowly. Right? Saying this, she used her tongue to lick around her mouth as if preparing to enjoy a delicious dish. One of her juniors announced. Chairman Jian Chai-won, Professor Zhang Richard called. She suddenly startled and glanced back. Then she ordered. Connect and report back to me. He listened. Bowed and replied. Yes, okay. The holy relic beside her saw this and said. There is no time for such a person. Jian Chai-won said. Wait a moment. I will check that old man first. She started talking to Zhang Richard. It was easy to observe the tomb of jealousy. Thank you, Zhang Richard. We must maintain the minimum courtesy. But I will not fulfill your stupid requests. Zhang could not help but be surprised when he heard that. Jian Chai-won looked extremely sinister at this moment. She continued. Right now, I have to focus on a guy named Xiao Zhu Hian. Zhang Richard is still at the airport to talk to Jian Chai-won. No, this girl. He's trying to convince her. What we need to do is we're going to conquer the fourth crypt. As he spoke, he was afraid, thinking to himself. Once the crypt was conquered, his scandal would be forgotten. Why wouldn't this woman do as he wished? Chai-won replied to him. Professor Zhang Richard, we don't have time to make a plan. And doesn't Professor Richard have a problem that needs to be solved first? He said suddenly. What? She continued. I heard that you are a plagiarist. Zhang quickly explained after hearing that. Ha! That is nonsense. Jian Chai-won continued leisurely. You should find a way to cover up this hoax. He quickly replied. What? Then she continued. Before this hoax became a gun to his head. I'll contact you later. Zhang Richard looked worried. He said loudly. Just listen to me for a moment. His face scowled. He gritted his teeth. Damn it. Even though conquering you might help me cover this up. But you're too much of a bitch. You think I can't handle it? At this moment, a plane took off. Xiao Zhu Hian has left Syria and returned to New York. There is much to do. But giving interviews is the top priority. News, newspapers, radio, and the internet. Edward connected them all and we had interviews. This will make old Zhang Richard fall quickly. I have to increase the news level to the highest level. Because this is a rare opportunity. If I remember correctly, he has a troublesome the holy relic. Xiao Zhu Hian and his teammates are still giving as many interviews as possible. The new holy relic from the legendary detective novelist. That is the Vidic mirror mask. His stories have inspired many writers. He created famous characters that everyone knows. Specifically, Sherlock Holmes. Perhaps because of his job, his holy relic is a secret. By using that holy relic, he can excellently turn into a target. But he has a fatal weakness. To draw in Yu Jaeha's style, he must transform into Yu Jaeha. So he never saw the picture of the target. He always hid it. Those were the words of Seo Ju-hyun when he answered the interview. Then he said, "I'm done talking. I'm going to leave." The reporters heard this and hurriedly said, "Wait a minute. Let me answer one more thing." At this moment, in a modern city with skyscrapers, at a cafe right next to the beach, Taejun and Jaeha were sitting there. Seo Ju-hyun spoke up, "Hey, this is tiring. I think this is enough. We've talked about a lot of things on the media." Jaeha replied to him, "Finally. Boss, do we really need to do this?" Seo Ju-hyun picked up the phone and said while looking at it, "Are you going back to pessimistic mode? I already have a plan. Do you think I will fail? Let's watch our interview videos." Jaeha replied, "Oh, okay." Then he quickly took out his phone to watch. Seo Ju-hyun focused on his phone and said, "We got many different views and opinions, because this is a hot topic." On Jaeha's side, he looked extremely scared. Noticing something unusual, Seo Ju-hyun suddenly said, "Huh? Why did our first interview disappear?" Hearing you say that, Jaeha was also surprised, "Huh?" Jaeha thought Ju-hyun was joking, so he said, "Are you kidding me?" Seo Ju-hyun thought deeply, "This is the truth, Jiang Richard did it." He was angry and continued, "This is unacceptable, I will arrange the next interview." After saying that he stood up and left, Jaeha heard that and said angrily, "What, I haven't finished eating yet." After all, his interviews all disappeared, something happened, Jiang Richard's scandal will not be announced. Seo Ju-hyun sat on the computer and thought further, "I'm sure of this, Jiang Richard did something. Does he intend to restore his reputation?" Interviews away from the scandal began to appear everywhere. Taking him down probably won't be easy, since he was a man with a lot of connections to begin with. This is the difference between Seo Ju-hyun and him, he easily gets the attention of many people. Seo Ju-hyun stood up and said to Jaeha, "I can't let this continue. He has deceived the public, I will fight him to the death." Jaeha heard that and asked, "What are you going to do?" In his hand he was holding a necklace with a glowing blue gem. He looked at it and said, "Marie Antoinette's necklace, this is the holy relic that can create bad rumors about the opponent." Marie Antoinette, the French revolutionary queen, lived with many bad rumors. Her most famous quote was, "I don't think it's too difficult to buy expensive diamond necklaces." Having said that, Seo Ju-hyun thought to himself, "This is the holy relic born from that story. In situations like this the holy relic is perfect." Seo Ju-hyun glanced at Jaeha, smiled and said, "The problem is that to use this holy relic, one needs to meet the target directly." Jaeha felt confused and asked, "Who would do that?" Seo Ju-hyun quickly replied, "Fortunately we have a spy now." Jaeha was still puzzled, staring at Seo Ju-hyun. Ju-hyo turned to Seola and said, "Seola." She heard that and replied, "Boss." He gave her the necklace and said, "Approach Jiang Richard, then use this holy relic on him, can you do it?" Seola confidently said, "Of course." Seeing Seola so confident, Ju-hyo felt satisfied and said, "Okay, go." At this time, Jiang Richard was constantly being interviewed. It was not difficult for her to disguise herself. Then, the report came right after. Seo Ju-hyun felt happy when Seola called to inform, "I succeeded." After listening to her phone call, he said, "Let's check the results." Then he used the computer to look it up. Jaeha knew and sat closer to him to see it together. Reading Jiang's articles, Jaeha was surprised and said, "Oh, there are so many articles about Jiang Richard. Why is there no plagiarism?" Seo Ju-hyun replied, "It's here, Jiang Richard, the original is trash." Jaeha looked at him worriedly, asking, "Boss, what do you mean?" Ju-hyun didn't answer him because he was busy thinking to himself, "Damn, I didn't think about it. There are indeed many bad rumors, but the topic is not plagiarism. On the contrary, the plagiarism case will probably be forgotten." Seo Ju-hyun looked disappointed, bowed his head, and said, "Damn, it really isn't easy." Suddenly, he looked up at the computer screen because of a notification. Seeing a message in his email, he wondered, email. He clicked on that message, read it and said, "What?" It was from the person whose email Hereway90 sent him. At the end of the message there was an appointment to meet Seo Ju-hyun another time. Seo Ju-hyun finished reading and then thought deeply. He immediately asked Jaeha who this was. Jaeha didn't know either, so she said it was a stranger. Not long after receiving the email from a stranger, something extraordinary happened. News of Jiang Richard's plagiarism suddenly appeared everywhere. It seems to have become the hottest trend in the world. Not only the United States, but also China and Europe, everything is related to Jiang Richard. Seo Ju-hyun wonders how that happened. But he had guessed who had done this. It's the king of gossip, Wade Harmon, he can control all kinds of media. The news of Jiang Richard's plagiarism cover-up has exploded, even though I'm getting help. But Seo Ju-hyun is sure he is not a good person, he is someone who does not hesitate to turn his back on anyone. Jae-ha stood next to Seo Ju-hyun and said, why would someone like him help us? He even said he would see you later. Seo Ju-hyun replied, he's probably attacking Jiang Richard more than us, because he's that kind of person. Ju-hyun smiled sinisterly, then continued, however, this is a great opportunity for us, right? The media war continues to turn, and bad rumors about Jiang Richard begin to increase. It has something to do with the king of rumors, perhaps Seo Ju-hyun will use this opportunity. Seo Ju-hyun immediately increased the interview schedule, he asked Jiang Richard to prove himself by drawing in front of everyone. The number of people following this case also increased, everyone was anxious, not knowing the truth. And Seo Ju-hyun also started doing something else to solidify Jiang Richard's scandal. Seo Ju-hyun called someone, when the person picked up, he slowly said, hello. Yes, James Wright, are you a former student of the same university as you? Jae-ha, hearing the name of that former student, Jae-ha who was drinking water immediately choked. Jae-ha was angry and shouted, how did you know the former student's phone number? Seo Ju-hyun slowly used one hand to block him, continuing to talk, shut up, I'm on the phone, yes, tell me. What I want to ask is how is it, do you understand me? Jae-ha felt extremely worried but couldn't do anything. Seo Ju-hyun is still talking to the former student, have you seen the news? Isn't it better to speak the truth boldly? Jae-ha approached him and asked, are you threatening the school's alumni? Seo Ju-hyun replied while taking notes, no, I just forced him. He turned to look at Jae-ha and said, the more witnesses, the better, right? Jae-ha immediately replied, they won't help, if they were on my side they would have helped me a long time ago. Before, they feared Jiang Richard's power and reputation, is it different now? Right now, all the news is against Jiang Richard, they definitely want revenge on Jiang Richard. One by one, in France. Seo Ju-hyun received accusations from Jae-ha's classmates, including former students in Tokyo. In New York, currently looking for alumni, as expected, there are many people on Seo Ju-hyun's side. A series of evidences were sent, Seo Ju-hyun immediately said to Jae-ha, look, how much evidence is there to convict him? Jae-ha replied, oh, too much. I never thought this would happen. Seo Ju-hyun glanced at him and thought to herself, he looked so happy, I was also happy, he didn't have to repeat the same mistakes from his previous life. After thinking, Ju-hyun spoke up, he was happy because he thought Jiang Richard would be defeated by these things. Jae-ha looked at him and asked curiously, what else? Ju-hyun immediately replied, this is just the beginning. We will give Jiang Richard a fatal blow. At Jiang Richard's place, he was sitting reading articles about himself, he was angry, talking loudly, all this is driving me crazy, why is the media targeting me, I bought dozens of them. He ordered his men, asking them why they were doing this, the men immediately obeyed, yes, sir. Jiang Richard was still extremely upset, his former students were also against him, this was terrible, terrible. After saying that, he went to open the door. When he opened the door, a group of people said in unison, surprised? A group of reporters were standing in front of him, he said awkwardly, guys, this is not the time for interviews. Seo Ju-hyun walked up to him and said, I'll take you there, is it fun? His face scowled as he looked at Seo Ju-hyun, then said, Seo Ju-hyun, you? Seo Ju-hyun ignored him and spoke up, stop avoiding it, the whole world knows that you plagiarized Jae-ha's painting. If you want to prove it is false, then prove it. Jiang Richard frowned at him and said, Seo Ju-hyun, okay? On the contrary, if all those baseless accusations are not true, you must hand over all of the holy relic to me. Jae-ha felt extremely worried after hearing that. Ju-hyun said, why, the accused is you, he said loudly, because you make me crazy. He smiled provocatively and said, you have threatened the honor and career that I have achieved in my entire life, so I must threaten you in the same way. How is it, Seo Ju-hyun? Ju-hyun quickly replied to him, if he liked it, he would do it. Jae-ha stood behind him, worried, and stopped him, boss, we are making an unreasonable bet. Seo Ju-hyun looked at him arrogantly and said, okay. Jae-ha was angry and shouted, boss, you're crazy. Seo Ju-hyun quickly covered Jae-ha's mouth and turned to talk to Jiang Richard, you said the bet. Then I will choose the time, what about now? His words startled him so much that he trembled and replied, now? The reporters there shouted as if they wanted to attack him. Speak up, choose quickly. Jiang Richard said angrily, damn it, I need to prove it now. The venue for the competition was immediately prepared, there were many people here, from reporters to national arts organizations. Jae-ha was scared, continuously shaking his head, telling him, you're a bit arrogant, we should stop. Seo Ju-hyun leisurely crossed his arms and said to Jae-ha, what are you talking about? Jae-ha was scared, looking at his hands and said, think about it, this bet is not in our favor. Seo Ju-hyun reassured him, He would not use his holy relic in a situation like this. Jae-ha still couldn't hide his anxiety, continuing to speak. What if he succeeded in drawing a picture without using any of the holy relic? He was still a painter after all. Since his basic knowledge is solid, he can imitate you. He will have an advantage if it looks similar to a certain extent. Jae-ha continued, have you thought about it? He can draw without the holy relic. Seo Ju-hyun immediately replied, stopping. Don't be so stressed, come what may, I have planned everything very carefully, very safe. But I trust you completely. If you're worried, I can stay by your side while you draw. How about it, okay? Jae-ha, worried, kept sighing, hey. The match between you Jae-ha and Jang Richard has begun. The female referee spoke up, okay, the theme is Professor Jang Richard's work, wonderful park landscape. Just repaint a similar picture. Ju-hyun stands beside cheering for Jae-ha, focus it brother. Jang Richard stood opposite, silently watching the two of them talking. He thought to himself, huh, idiots, they think they'll lose. I can still draw without the holy relic, I've seen this picture 1,000 times. He was arrogant, smirking, thinking to himself, it seems like this is my victory, this playground is mine. He confidently started drawing, the reporters behind him started working, taking pictures of him with exclamations. At this point, he became nervous, thinking to himself, I can't perfect it as much as I can, but if I make it look similar, then maybe it's okay. The two focused on their paintings. Ju-hyun stood there glancing towards Jang Richard. Looking at him, he thought to himself, it's been a while, I can hear the sound of pens moving, everyone is quiet to let the two artists concentrate. This will be Jang Richard's victory if he can draw it, otherwise we win. Good, after a long time finally, on Jang Richard's side at this moment, his face became worried. People standing around there, when they saw his painting, immediately started talking, what is that? What did he draw? Is there a problem with my eyes? He looked at his trembling hands and said, this is strange, why can't my arms move as I want? The two reporters standing behind him reminded him, Professor, this is not the time to play around, be serious. Seo Ju-hyun turned to Jang Richard and said, he was serious, but not as expected. I guessed right, Jang Richard. Seo Ju-hyun pointed it out to him and accused him of using the holy relic to plagiarize the painting. The reporters standing there heard and started talking loudly. He used the holy relic. The professor got angry and said, what are you talking about? Seo Ju-hyun continued, the holy relic that he used to steal Yu Jae-ha's painting style was the Vidic mirror mask. By the way, didn't he think of its side effects? If you keep changing yourself into someone else, you will become someone else more and more, you will lose yourself. And he painted in someone else's style, he lost his ability to paint. After hearing Seo Ju-hyun's words, Jang Richard was shocked and said in fear, no, it can't be. Seo Ju-hyun stared at him and said, this is the truth, the holy relics are like that. What do you want to do, you can't avoid it anymore, plagiarist. Seo Ju-hyun continued, what are you trying to do, you can't hide from the truth anymore, you are a plagiarist. Now, he can only admit the matter, it's too late to do anything now. Seo Ju-hyun also advised him to quickly confess to the crime of theft, including Yu Jae-ha's drawings. The reporters, upon hearing the hot news, rushed to get the news, demanding to bring it back to report to their superiors. Oh, hot news, report it quickly. Jang Richard immediately went crazy and threw all kinds of things at the camera. He stubbornly denied it, everything was to slander me, it was all slander. But Ju-hyun immediately laughed and said, you want to resist to the end, whatever, if you like. You're just avoiding the fact that you're going to jail like some piece of trash, you bastard. Too angry at Yu Jae-ha's teasing. So he immediately pulled out the holy relic to shine light to blur everyone's vision. Everyone was immediately blinded by it, too bright to see anything. Ju-hyun was angry, damn it, he was so stubborn. Ju-hyun was afraid that he would take that opportunity to escape, so he ordered the rope the holy relic, don't let him escape from here. The rope obeyed and rushed away. The rope quickly rushed to lock the door so he could not escape. A moment later when the light finally dimmed, Yu Jae-ha. Realizing this, the light had already dimmed. The light had already gone out, everyone was surprised by the strange disappearance of Jang Richard, damn it, where did he go? But Ju-hyun immediately advised everyone to calm down, everyone stay calm and stand still, make sure that everything now is not a trick. Ju-hyun explained that because he still had the holy relic mask Vidic could disguise himself as some of the people here were the person he knew best. Ju-hyun asked everyone present to take a test to find Jang Richard's name. At this time, a female reporter asked, how are you sure that he is still here? Ju-hyun replied, because if he could use the holy relic to teleport out of here, he wouldn't have bothered to dazzle us like this. Besides, the original door was not open and was now locked by the holy relic, so he couldn't go out the front door. So he suggested that everyone cooperate with me to investigate who Jang Richard was impersonating. Everyone just stay still, through an interrogation I will find out who he was impersonating. Of course, to be sure, the reporters also filmed the details of how the interrogation took place. But unfortunately, after several rounds of interrogation, no matter how carefully Jian checked and paid attention to every detail, it seemed that he was no longer impersonating one of the reporters here or someone he knew. Yu Jaeha was worried. Was he okay? What if he had another holy relic to hide? What's everyone talking about? Where is he? Are there no suspects? Did he just disappear? Jian also started to panic. No way, maybe he was hiding somewhere. Jian decided to review the entire room. There was a bust in the distance that caught his attention. Because the statue bore a strong resemblance to Jian Richard. He looked at the statue suspiciously. To be sure, he turned on the holy relic eye to check. The statue looked scared. Later, news broke that Jian Richard was arrested at Pandora headquarters, right in New York City. Sure enough, after a few minutes, Jian was instrumental in capturing Jian Richard. And at this moment, somewhere else, Joshua accidentally saw this news and was furious. This was too absurd. He started cursing Jian. Not only did Jian beat Francis to the point of hospitalization, he also put Jian Richard in jail. And Joshua was also not convinced by his fast speed of capturing the holy relic. In addition, the holy relics in the 7 crypts had appeared. 3 out of the 7 crypts of the holy relic had been conquered by him. Seeing that things were not going well, Joshua immediately ran out to discuss another plan. I have another plan. I cannot fail this many times. After just opening the door, Joshua found Pandora's new senator George Hilton waiting for him. He said powerfully, "Man, slow down." Joshua turned pale with fear. Monster or what? Ah, sorry. Joshua regained his composure and shouted. Wait a minute, George Hilton is just a member of Pandora. Then he yelled at him for this rude action. How dare this guy scold me? You are a bodyguard. How dare you be rude to me? Do you know who I am? But George didn't care at all because he knew Joshua's identity very well. I know you, Joshua. The brother said angrily, you are the one who helped Austin Rockefeller in murdering my parents. I know very well who you are. Hearing this, Joshua suddenly panicked. What? The bodyguard reminded him. He was George Hilton. He turned to the bodyguard and asked, what's going on? Why is this guy here? The bodyguard told him. He was the newly elected senator of the Pandora organization. Joshua was surprised. What? What's going on? The organization has lost a lot of members recently, so they're looking for new members. Before Joshua could finish his confusion, George Hilton patted him on the shoulder. After all, I am a senator. I'm hungry. Let's have a simple drink. A drink that is really just to get information from Joshua about his parents. Joshua had no choice but to listen to George Hilton. In contrast to the tense atmosphere, at Taejun's house there is a party to celebrate Yu Jaeha's new job. Congratulations, slave number 1. Ha ha. Thank you all so much. Irene Hilton wondered, will you start a new job now? Should we call you an artist now? Yu Jaeha was shy. Artist. That doesn't change things much. Taejun was surprised. What is it? Even though the party was fun, Jian felt that Yu Jaeha still wasn't really confident in her artistic talent. Jian asked Seola to give Yu Jaeha a special document. I was going to give it to you, but I'll just give it to you now. Yu Jaeha took it in confusion. Boss, what document is this? Just open it and find out. What's so secret about that? But when he opened it, he was surprised by what was inside. Because it was a flyer for an art exhibition of Yu Jaeha's paintings right in the lavish city of New York. Yu Jaeha cried out in surprise. Jian replied, Yu Jaeha has also gotten rid of the burden. Jian, I want Yu Jaeha to be a real artist, you understand? And of course I will pay for every drawing you make. Your job is to draw. But he also reminded Yu Jaeha to still prioritize fixing the holy relic. Before Jian could finish speaking, Yu Jaeha burst into tears at his kind act. Yu Jaeha sincerely. Thank you to the man of my life. I will never forget this favor. I vow to be Jian's slave for the rest of my life. Jian was also scared to death after hearing that. The screen now appears. You have gained the loyalty of the first slave, which has also increased his charisma and his ability to use the military holy relic by another level. In addition, Jian has also achieved the inner evil of infinite kindness, making the holy relics who hate him become weaker. In addition, he has also achieved F-rank training skills. Seeing this growth, Jian turned to Yu Jaeha, who was crying, and said, turn it over and continue reading. Because the next place is about Yu Jaeha's earnings. The proceeds will be divided as Yu Jaeha's portion and Ju Hyun's will be the remaining portion. Ju Hyun pointed to the paper and said, "It's written on the contract." "Not that page. Go on." "Hey." "No, that next page." "Yeah, that page." Yu Jaeha was furious after reading it. "Boss, are you kidding me? What exploitation is this?" Not long after, Edward called Ju Hyun back. "Boss, I have important news for you. I sent it to your Gmail. Check it out." He heard that and asked him back. "Okay. Is it that important?" "You look in a hurry." Edward replied immediately. "You will know. This is really important information." Ju Hyun opened the machine and read the title. "Determine user rank." "What does that mean?" He told him. "Just read it all." On the screen was the user ranking of the Holy Relic. King, level 4, can use his power to start a world war. Professional, level 3. Ability to use the Holy Relic professionally can create a world disaster. Expert, level 2. Ability to use the Holy Relic fairly well can create a national disaster. Amateur, level 1. Ability to use normal the Holy Relics can create a city disaster. Ju Hyun thought to himself, I get it, Pandora, they want to set standards for everyone. Pandora set the standard for ranking on crypts and the Holy Relic, now they set the standard for users of the Holy Relic as well. Yu Jaeha saw Ju Hyun like that and curiously ran over to ask, "What's the matter, boss?" "Oh, look. Pandora is starting to create ranking rules for the Holy Relic users, let's see how we rank." Yu Jaeha suddenly said, "Are we on the ranking list?" Ju Hyun said while typing on the keyboard, "They have a very wide information network. So let's see where we are." Yu Jaeha looked around and said, "Without me, the boss's name is here." As soon as he saw Ju Hyun's name, he held his stomach and laughed out loud, "King of Thieves, ha ha ha." Ju Hyun was speechless with the name Pandora gave him. Lee Seola happily said, "Boss, you're on the king ranking." Ju Hyun helplessly said, "Oh right." While the two were talking, Yu Jaeha beside him was still laughing uncontrollably. Lee Seola continued, "This is a good start for us, but it doesn't seem like he's the king of tomb robbers." Ju Hyun immediately replied, "Well, it's just a nickname, whatever." "My nickname," Yu Jaeha said while laughing, "You are a bastard, boss." Ju Hyun angrily slapped him and asked, "Do you like noise?" Yu Jaeha was beaten and cried out, "Hick." After being slapped until his face was swollen, Yu Jaeha stopped laughing. Ju Hyun said, "The king of thieves sounds strange, living in peace, passionate about speed, how could he be a robber? I will contact George Hilton." Suddenly at this moment the system board pops up a notification, "You have received the title of King of Thieves. I think this nickname is a bit wrong, do you want to change it?" Ju Hyun read it and got angry and said, "You crow, are you kidding me?" He made the other two people not understand who he was talking to. Without stopping, the system panel continued to appear, "Although this title is quite suitable for you, ha ha ha. If you change your title, the skills you have will disappear, instead you will have new skills depending on your title. Do you want to change your title?" Ju Hyun was angry, "Damn it, I just want to change my nickname." Ju Hyun calls George Hilton, he answers the phone, "What's up? By the way, congratulations on becoming the King of Thieves." He couldn't help but say, "I want to ask who gave me that nickname?" He also quickly replied, "It was the Holy Relic Pandora again, that day it could not be used." In the end the senators took turns voting. Ju Hyun said with a dark face, "So you?" George Hilton asked back, "You don't like it?" "I think it fits, King of Thieves, you should be glad your name isn't King of Pickpockets or King of Harems or something else dirty." Ju Hyun helplessly asked, "Why don't you write the Nameless King or the Dark King for example?" He immediately said, "It doesn't suit you at all. I can't change it. I have an interview coming up. I'm very busy. Goodbye, King of Thieves." After George Hilton hung up, Ju Hyun said angrily, "I will bury you alive when I have the chance." Yu Jaeha calmed Ju Hyun's anger by saying, "Boss, we can continue looking at the rankings." Ju Hyun tried to calm down and looked at the rankings. Next rank, here it is, both of them. Yu Jaeha asked in disbelief, "Really? Lee Seoa is a spy, and you are a pushover swindler." "This nickname isn't that bad." Yu Jaeha heard his nickname and said loudly, "What the hell, what kind of stupid nickname is that?" Ju Hyun chuckled and said, "Hey slave number 1, can't you just shut up?" Yu Jaeha replied indignantly, "How can I shut up about that stupid nickname?" Hearing Yu Jaeha's words made him feel uncomfortable. Ju Hyun told Yu Jaeha, "Shut up, you should be happy that your name is here." Ju Hyun continued in a low voice, "Yu Jaeha a pushover swindler, at least you are still ranked as an expert to professional." Hearing that, he jumped up and said loudly, "What's so good about it? Who the hell gave him that name?"
And you don't want to be king, right? You just need a cool name.
Ju Hian stood up and denied Yu Jaeha's words. No, the king that Pandora named was nothing, because in the end I would become the lord of the holy relics. Also, those names aren't just names, there's something called the king's treasure. You need to find it if you want to become a king. This is the first time I've been called a king, so I don't know what it means because the treasure is a very powerful the holy relic, Yu Jaeha said in confusion.
Wait. You became king, so what holy relic did you conquer? By the way, what does a king do after that? Dominate territories, build armies?
Ju Hian heard that and also felt sympathy with Yu Jaeha's words, immediately said, very good idea, solidifying the position of world domination. After saying that, Ju Hian thought to himself, even so, then said that perhaps only the holy relic wanted to rule the world. Humans would fall into misery if they let the holy relic manipulate them. The Pandora system has a big impact on the Pandora organization's decision. I know that the Pandora system is of the holy relic. When that holy relic chooses the strongest king, it will cause suffering to humans. Yu Jaeha said with a bit of fear, the holy relic is evil. Ju Hian continued, so if we want to ruin its plans we also need to become kings. The more the better, we will get the treasure together. I heard that there are 15 royal treasures, currently there are only 5 people, so there are still many opportunities for you. Yu Jaeha asked a little worriedly, brother, how many people are in the professional company? Hopefully not many. Li Seola replied, there are currently 180 people at the professional level. Yu Jaeha suddenly said, how can I get past all of them? Ju Hian confidently pointed at himself and said loudly, don't worry, I'm here, I will do everything to make you a king. Yu Jaeha heard that and immediately broke out in a sweat and said, are you planning to kill someone to usurp the throne? Ju Hian replied, of course not, like Quan Tae-jun, but then, no. Ju Hian thought back to that man, he had had many meetings with Ju Hian before. Ju Hian was thinking, but it came out of his mouth, how should I do it? That old man, Oh well, Quan Tae-jun, Yu Jaeha thought, what the hell is he talking about? Suddenly, an unknown number called. Ju Hian picked up the phone in surprise, an unknown number? It seemed like something was up again. Ju Hian picked up the phone and asked, who is it? A man's voice came from the other end, you don't know me? You think you can handle Jiang Richard alone? Am I helping you? Ju Hian thought, so it's him. When your benefactor calls, you have this attitude? The other end of the line said. The man continued, are you curious to know who I am? Ju Hian didn't care about the man's question and just replied with compliments, you talk cool. I know Wade Harmon. The man heard that and was scared and whispered, oh my god, him. The man regained his composure and said loudly, hey, how do you know my name? Ju Hian calmly replied, well, I know, even though I know it's unnecessary, thank you for your help. Now goodbye. The other end noticed that Ju Hian was about to hang up and said quickly, wait, so the rumors were right, you are very strange. I called you because I want to form an alliance with you, Ju Hian flatly refused. The man angrily said, hey you, do you know how hard I worked to write an article denouncing Jiang Richard, you bastard? Ju Hian heard that and immediately said, you do what you want, why are you telling me? Yu Jaeha asked curiously, what's the matter boss? Ju Hian replied, the king of rumors, he invited us to form an alliance. We're going to ally with him, this is crazy, I personally don't like his the holy relic. The king of rumors, he has the holy relic by Joseph Goebbels, he was Hitler's henchman and minister in Nazi Germany. Extraordinary propaganda when in power, resulting in World War II and massacres. Don't expect us to be allies, goodbye. The other end interrupted again, wait and listen to me, Ju Hian thought, if you're going to give me the holy relic, I don't want it, I have plenty. Harmon said, I want an alliance in digging 7 crypts, you have intelligence but you lack information, right? I'll tell you everything about Pandora, the king of destiny, and also about the king's treasure, Ju Hian thought, the king's treasure. He knew about the king's treasure. The man replied smugly, do you want to know what the king's treasure is? I know a lot of that, how about an alliance? Ju Hian had no choice but to compromise with Harmon's invitation. That's it, Harmon laughed happily, good choice. Oh yeah, do you know who we're about to face? I need your help with the excavation. Ju Hian quickly understood and said, this is the real purpose, who is that person? He is a very strange user of the holy relic. His name is Julian Miller. Ju Hian thought, the rumor king is involved in capturing Jiang Richard. He's not helping me just for fun, he wants me to form an alliance with him. But surprisingly his terms of exchange were quite simple, in exchange for information about the king's treasure. He wanted information about Julian Miller. The last time I saw Miller was when I played a prank on him at the auction house. I never heard from him again. Harmon asked, do you know the holy relic lightning? Ju Hian replied, he holy relic lightning, I've never seen him use it directly. Harmon said, "That's the information I just heard. If you want to know more details, you can come see me directly."
Ju Hian agreed to meet him. Harmon happily replied, "Really? You are really interesting. Okay, we will meet in."
Ju Hian interrupted him, "Wait a moment, I will confirm the meeting place." Although quite surprised, Harmon still calmly replied, "Oh okay, no problem."
Then Ju Hian hung up. Li Siola asked, "Didn't you say before that you didn't like him?" Ju Hian smirked and replied, "If it's beneficial then do it, right? Okay, get ready." At night the tall buildings are lit up by beautiful lights. On a plane Harmon's voice rang out. "We'll meet in the sky, you're crazy. Is your home on the plane? Or are you trying to trap me? If so, how can I trust you?" Xiao Ju Hian sarcastically said, "Ah, you're different from what I thought?
So this is the king of rumors."
Ju Hian said, "You don't have to act so extreme. Do you like my plane?" Harmon was startled, "What the hell?"
Ju Hian asked Harmon to sit down and discuss business. Harmon nodded in agreement.
Harmon shows Ju Hian a video of Julian Miller using the Holy Relic lightning. Jaeha was surprised, "What the hell, amazing, he's so strong." Ju Hian just watched attentively without saying anything. Harmon said, "Here is the video I have. Do you know what the Holy Relic is? What a madman, what a terrorist."
Miller attacked the excavation teams when they were off guard and destroyed their Holy Relic.
He also ambushed a few of my teams.
We have to kill him first, then the tomb will be conquered very easily.
I'm sure you can finish him off easily, right? Of course the rewards after conquering the tomb will be divided equally. How about it? Ju Hian smiled and said. It won't be a problem. Okay, I'll ally with you. Harmon said happily. Oh, is that so? That's easy. Ju Hian said. Okay, now I'll explain my plan. Harmon was confused. Now. Ju Hian slowly replied. Do you feel like when we discussed on the plane? We're going straight to the tomb. Harmon said. Ju Hian, very good. Just as I expected. They set foot in Syria. Yu Jaeha said. We're going to Syria again. How many times? Ju Hian said. What else can I do? The tomb is here. Pandora holds Europe and America. The Chinese and Russian alliance dominates East Asia.
The miners of the African continent of West Asia have formed small to medium-sized excavation groups.
Li Siola asked.
But isn't this the area of the preacher King Ali? There won't be any preacher king because you already took his main holy relic.
Even though he doesn't have the main holy relic, he still exists. Li Siola was confused. Boss, when did you take it? Ju Hian continued.
He wouldn't be as strong as in the past and he still had a lot of subordinates. There are currently 3 groups of people in this area, Julian Miller's team, Ali's team, and the teams under Wade Harmon.
Yu Jaeha said. It seems like Miller is our toughest opponent. You want to prepare well, right? Ju Hian replied. Well, those guys aren't much of a problem. Jaeha wondered. What about the Holy Relic lightning? Ju Hian said.
Through Harmon's video I probably know what Miller's the Holy Relic is.
Jaeha was curious. What is the Holy Relic? It was a Holy Relic lightning that originated from India. The god of war Indra. Ju Hian thought, I have seen this Holy Relic in the past.
Indra is a very powerful god and so is the Holy Relic about him. But luckily he also has a weakness.
Indra is known as the god of war.
He is the son of the god of earth and the god of sky, and is a very powerful Holy Relic.
Yu Jaeha asked. So isn't that Holy Relic very scary? Ju Hian said. Strong is strong but still has weaknesses. Jaeha was confused. Then we can win if we exploit this weakness. Ju Hian replied. That's right. Li Siola said. We finally meet the vice captain again. Ju Hian said. Wait, don't be so happy. Li Siola wondered. Why is that?
Ju Hian thought back to the argument in her previous life and didn't reply but just said, forget it.
Li Siola was shocked. Hick, what's the problem between the boss and the vice captain?
In a barracks area surrounded by smoke and fire everywhere.
A crowd of people knelt down and begged. Please spare our lives. We haven't even set foot in the crypt. Julian Miller said coldly. I'm not doing this for you to wander around the catacombs. Think of the damage you've done by taking the Holy Relic away.
The terrified crowd begged for mercy.
Miller warned them.
Murderers set up camp and bandits in this place. You have no right to keep the Holy Relic. All the Holy Relic will be confiscated.
The other people suddenly said. What?
A young man standing next to Miller said.
Didn't you hear what Captain Miller said? Hurry up. The group had no choice but to obey. All the holy relics they had were taken out. Miller's subordinates were surprised. It turned out they had a lot of holy relics. Stealing a few things should be fine. Don't be crazy. Keep them safe. You should respect Captain Miller. He's trying to fight for those oppressed by the holy relic. Well, that's true. He's been fighting bad guys all this time. Our captain is a great person. I am very proud to be his subordinate. He is a hero of justice. Hearing these words from his subordinate, Miller said shyly. Too bad, I can hear what they say. The other two continued. But why is the captain only active in this area? This area is not affected by Pandora. Don't you know? The captain is wanted. He was set up for a scam. Really? Miller couldn't stand it anymore and spoke up. Don't talk too much nonsense. The other two replied. Yes, Captain. Suddenly someone ran up and said, Captain Miller. Information about the excavation team alliance. Miller told him. Tell me. The subordinate hurriedly said. There are rumors that someone named Sister Jian has joined the alliance. Because he is an acquaintance of the captain, so I immediately reported this to you. Miller said. Very good. He put his hand on his chin thinking about Jian. One of the other two wondered. Who is Jian? The other replied. You don't know. I don't know either. It seems to have something to do with the captain's scam. What is that? Does it mean the captain is a professional con artist? Miller asked. How much truth is there in this rumor? The subordinate replied. I heard it directly from the high-level excavation alliance. Miller said. I understand. Let's move. We have to attack the next target quickly. Before we face Jian, we have to finish our job first. A subordinate asked. Do we need to take a break? Miller replied directly. No, we don't have time. From here on we have to act fast. We are facing one of the dangerous excavation teams. I know you're tired. But please hang in there a little longer. Together we can make this world a better place. Everyone said in unison. Yes, Captain. A bolt of lightning struck from the sky and struck another barracks. The people there said in panic. It's Miller Julian. We're surrounded. He came to kick our holy relic. Why did they appear so suddenly? At the Excavation Alliance headquarters. A group of people were discussing. Another report came from Anderson's group. Damn, they were getting rampant. Everyone is in a panic over the attacks. What's going on? What is Jian doing? Didn't he say he would help us? Hasn't he signed the contract yet? Damn, what does he want? I don't know. At Jian's place, everyone was quite calm. Except for the silver-haired man who seemed a bit rushed. The room was unusually quiet. The three of them attentively flipped through the contract documents page by page. There was a cautiousness about Jian's contract signing. It seemed that he had heard about the many attacks that had occurred. The man sitting opposite him could not bear it any longer and spoke up. Sorry to bother you. But you have been reading this paper for a long time. We are in an emergency situation. Please make a decision quickly. The man showed a worried face. Jian calmly replied. That's your problem. I don't care. I have the right to review the contract I'm about to sign. You should know that. The man wondered. These contracts were very good for him. Lots of incentives. Why think so much? Lee Seola seemed to have discovered something unusual in the contract. Ah, here it is. All the profits after conquering the tomb will be divided 70-30. The 73 here means there are 7 people and we only have 3? The other man spoke impatiently. Yes, that's it. So what's the problem? Seola said, Boss. Isn't this unfair? Jian nodded in response. Yeah, I think so too. The man who was about to lose control spoke loudly. How is it unfair? There are only 3 of you. Getting 30% of the benefits is already a lot for 3 people. Your demands are too much. Jian continued. Numbers don't matter. I'm sure my team will carry this battle. Jian continued. I want to split 91. Of course we are 9 and you are 1. The other man said angrily. Are you crazy? That offer is unreasonable. Jae thought to himself. 91, I also feel it's a bit too much. Lycola also thought. This is a very interesting bargain.
Suddenly a group of people walked in from outside the door and said,
The contract hasn't been signed yet? What's taking so long?
The director in charge was furious.
Do you know how many of our excavation teams have been attacked? Do you really want to help us? Jian calmly replied. If you guys agree to the contract like I said, we will cooperate. I don't want to waste time here. He continued. I just want to split the profits at a ratio of 91. I am 9 and you are 1. The other people heard what he said and said angrily. 91, are you crazy?
The group started arguing with each other. Why did Wade ally with this guy? Even though he was very strong, the price was beyond imagination.
Fuck it. Kick this brat out of here.
Jian watched with interest. Another, calmer one said.
Is there any other way you can sign a contract with us? I mean, Julian Miller is constantly attacking our excavation team. So now we. Jian laughed and said. That's your business.
One of them lost his patience and gritted his teeth.
Damn it. 91 then 91. Sign it for me.
Instead, you have to try to conquer the tomb even if you get buried alive. The others were stunned. The silver-haired man grabbed the collar of the person who was speaking and scolded him.
You can't just talk nonsense. Do you really want to sign it?
The man who just agreed to the terms with Jian replied.
Is there any other way?
The silver-haired man shouted.
We won't get any profit from that contract. Jian stood up and said. Hey, hurry up, old men. I'm thirsty.
Those guys are still arguing about the pros and cons of this deal.
What do you mean? No way.
They finally agreed to Jian's request. Then they went straight to the rescue area.
Everyone had to move quickly.
Before Miller moved on to the next target,
Jae pointed forward and said. Boss, there's a huge black cloud over there. Jian calmly said.
It's most likely the power of Miller's the holy relic.
Jae was confused. How can we deal with this thing? Jian replied calmly.
We'll try one of my plans. If it fails, we'll run away with the holy relic. The base was now ashes. In the place I had just conquered.
Miller said. Take inventory of the holy relics we have obtained. I will proceed to the next target. Subordinate, obey. Jian suddenly appeared from somewhere and walked over to say. Where are you going?
Hearing a familiar voice, Miller turned around and said, Jian, you appeared earlier than I expected.
Jian replied. The Excavation Alliance has informed me of your location. So I came to say hello to you. Why did you attack the small camps? Miller said. You wouldn't understand because you have no conscience. The people from the Excavation Alliance used the holy relic to threaten the surrounding people. I want to help the people around here.
Jian sarcastically said. Oh, you're playing superhero.
Don't you realize that you are mistaken? There are people who are not involved in threatening the people.
Hearing that, Miller angrily reached out and used his holy relic to attack Jian.
Luckily he was quick so he avoided it. Jian said.
Your power has increased significantly. But the use of the power of the holy relic is still lacking.
Miller said angrily. Shut up.
Jian saw that and said, oh my god, he's crazy. Then he took out his own holy relic. Now arrayed, the third brick house.
Jian is confident. With this holy relic we won't be struck by lightning. Jian called and said, I've successfully lured him. Moving on to phase 2.
At this moment Jae went around the cloud, he received the order, quickly release them. Jae stuck his head out of the car and said, okay I'll do it right away.
Jian asked to release the civilians, Jae obeyed. Jae took out the holy relic, a painting by Van Gogh, and said, now come out ladies. The girls who were brought out immediately asked, where is this? Jae, did you hide Appa Jian? Jae immediately denied, no, it's not me, Jian is there. After looking in the direction Jae pointed, the girls immediately rushed towards that direction, Appa Jian.
On the way here boss gathered all the women we met, he seduced them with the holy relic Casanova and put them in Van Gogh's painting. From there I collected a lot of women. After I received a call from the boss, I would release them and let them go to the boss's place. They will definitely go to the boss no matter how difficult the situation is, and that is the boss's plan.
From the small speaker mounted on the roof a voice rang out, hello, can everyone hear me clearly?
Is this your limit? You're really weak, you can't destroy this small house? It seems you're even weaker than Pikachu, aren't you ashamed? Hearing Ju Hyun's mocking words, Julian Miller was extremely angry. He immediately used all his strength to attack the house and shouted, "Come out here, you damn bastard." The house began to show signs of collapse. Ju Hyun said, "It looks like he's about to lose it." Lee Seola asked, "Boss, why are you provoking him?" Ju Hyun explained, "He will have to continuously attack us so he won't realize that there are many women here." Many women ran to this place. "Here it comes." Julian Miller's subordinate saw it and said, "Captain, look." They were full of surprise. People, there were so many, why were they here? The other subordinates tried to stop the women. "Everyone, this area is very dangerous." An angry woman said, "Hey, get lost." Miller's subordinates shouted in panic. "Hey, don't push, who are these girls?" As if realizing something, Julian Miller turned to Ju Hyun and asked, "What are you doing?" Ju Hyun calmly replied, "How would I know? I didn't do anything, they came if they wanted to, who could stop them?" Then he smiled and said, "Should we start now?" Ju Hyun thought the plan went very smoothly. These women were under the influence of the holy relic Casanova, and came to me. According to the plan, Miller would no longer be able to use lightning, nor would he attack any of them. Now it's time to get out of here. What's the plan? Ju Hyun opened the door and stepped out to enjoy the fresh air outside. The others got excited and shouted as soon as they saw Ju Hyun. He held out his hand to them and told them not to look so greedy, people were judging. Ju Hyun pointed at them and said, "If anyone dares to come near me, don't expect to see me again." A girl wondered, why? Before Ju Hyun could answer, Miller looked at him and asked, "Are you the one who brought these people here?" Ju Hyun looked up and said, "Who knows, I'm innocent." Miller grimaced, lying habitually. Ju Hyun looked at him and smiled provocatively, "If you don't believe it, then forget it." Miller looked at Ju Hyun with lightning and said, "There's no way they could have come here by themselves." The holy relic, who was crazy about girls, saw a beautiful girl and immediately said, "There are so many beautiful girls here. How could these beautiful girls come here?" Miller turned around in surprise to see the holy relic thunderously appear behind him. What? Ju Hyun saw the thunderous appearance of the holy relic and said, what he had been waiting for had finally come. Ju Hyun looked at the people here and said, "All the women here are in danger and there is a hero here, what will you do?" Miller looked at Ju Hyun with an angry expression, "So all this was your plan, knowing about my holy relic?" Ju Hyun replied with a very calm expression, "Forget about bad luck." The holy relic, the womanizer, immediately shot lightning towards the girls. "Sweet girls, here I come." But was stopped by Miller. He was surprised and then he got angry and attacked Miller, chasing Miller away. "Get out," he said, "I lent you my power, why are you stopping me?" He told Miller to move aside, but Miller refused. He angrily shouted, "So you choose death," and launched a powerful lightning bolt towards Miller. The lightning struck him down, the other said, "This was something he brought upon himself." Ju Hyun looked at Miller and said, "It looks a bit painful, and now the sisters. While he can't move, I need the girls here to seduce him." But the women said, "We don't care about anyone else but you." Ju Hyun immediately said, "I know, if I say that, everyone won't accept it, so I'll use my beauty as bait, I'll date the person who does this best." When they heard that they would be going on a date with Ju Hyun, they all rushed towards Miller like hungry tigers, all for the sake of a date with Ju Hyun. Everyone rushed to fight. "Let me go first, let me seduce him first, he is mine." Miller tried to tell the women to wake up. The holy relic said, "It's rare to be surrounded by so many women." Ju Hyun held his phone and thought to himself, if he uploads this, the others will probably like it. There was a call from afar. "Boss." Ju Hyun turned around and it turned out to be his #1 slave. Jaeha ran over and asked, "How is everything? Is everything okay?" Ju Hyun replied, "The plan was very successful, they came, just in time as I thought, he would never attack a woman no matter what the circumstances." Jaeha said, "Why do I feel like we are more like criminals?" Miller was now extremely angry at being oppressed. He immediately released small lightning bolts around. Ju Hyun was surprised. What, he attacked innocent people? No way. Lee Seola said, "It seems like the others are just paralyzed, there are no injuries." Lee Seola continued, "It seems like he has adjusted his power, so he can perfectly control that power." Ju Hyun laughed and said, "It was natural that he could adjust it himself." Miller looked at Ju Hyun angrily and said, "Only you would use such a despicable plan." Ju Hyun replied, "Never mind, this is war." Miller's teammates arrived. Miller pointed at Ju Hyun and said, "You really are a scoundrel." Ju Hyun calmly replied, "It's okay." Ju Hyun turned to Lee Seola and said, "Prepare for the worst." Lee Seola obeyed. Ju Hyun took out his battle holy relic and said provocatively, "I'll fight you for real, let's fight." "But you don't look so good right now, you used a lot of energy to block the attack from Indra, didn't you?"
Want to take a break? I'm generous, Miller.
Miller said angrily, holding his mouth, then he rushed to attack Jian. Jian used the holy relic shield to block, it shouted, "Don't, it hurts." "Even though it doesn't affect you, it still hurts," Jian lamented, "even though you are the defending holy relic, why are you so afraid of pain?"
Miller attacked again and this time he used more force. This causes Jian to be pushed back. Miller said, "You're just a punching bag, useless as hell." Jian calmly replied, "Hee, no, I just attacked you." Miller looked behind him and saw something stuck to his back. It said, "My lord, mission completed." It turns out to be a part of Jian's the holy relic. It taunts the god of thunder and says he's weak. Miller tries to take it out but can't. What the hell is this? Jian agreed with his holy relic saying, "The holy relic is useless trash," but why did he tell Miller? This thing might not affect him, but it would affect the holy relic's unstable emotions. At this time Miller's holy relic angrily said, "How dare a low-level holy relic like you mock me, you will regret this." Miller screamed, "Damn it, you crazy guy, don't do that." The holy relic didn't care and struck down with a lightning strike. "Feel this," Miller screamed in pain. Miller's holy relic said, "Just a low-level holy relic dares to look down on me." Jian stood to the side sarcastically, so happy. He's been struck by lightning twice, will he turn into a piece of burnt meat? Miller was now burnt dry and unconscious, so Jian immediately brought a rope to tie him up. The holy relic then felt something was wrong and shouted, "Miller, leave quickly, I think this guy is very sinister." Jian said, "Wait a minute, I heard you like women. If you sit still while I negotiate with Miller, I will introduce you to some girls." The holy relic was bribed upon hearing this. He said, "It will be interesting, you must keep your promise." Jian stepped forward and said to Miller, "Your failure this time is really funny, you were attacked by your own holy relic. For a holy relic as powerful as this, you should conquer it first, whether you use domination or social power." Miller asked, "You will kill me?" Jian was surprised, "Huh?" Miller said again, "If you want to kill me then let my teammates go." Jian put his hand inside his shirt and said, "What are you talking about, who wants to kill someone?" Jian took out a contract and gave it to Miller. "Here is the contract for you to join my team." Miller was quite surprised. Jian said, "You feel shocked because I'm so nice, right? You should feel happy. If you can see it, you can join the group." Miller interrupted, "I can't. No, I will never sign a contract like this. Do you want me to be your slave or what? What do you mean when you call me I have to be there in any situation? I have to do whatever you want and this contract is also bound by the Holy Relic Treaty." Jaha heard the things in the contract and had to sigh, "Our boss is really too despicable." Miller said, "It would be better if you killed me." Jian replied, "So that was your answer? Your pride is more important than your life. Sorry, but I have many ways to force you. If you don't sign, I'll post this video on the dark web. The topic will be Julian Miller and his 500 wives. This will be the hottest clip of the century." Miller screamed, "You can't threaten me with that. Why is my life so miserable?" Jian scrolled through his phone and said, "Oh, I have a lot of cool stuff." Miller was shocked, "How did he get these things?" Jian said, "You should think carefully now. Look at the annual salary, not bad." Miller is helpless, "Shut up." "Okay, I will do it." After the fight, Miller finally signed. Jian said happily, "Happy cooperation, don't be sad anymore, cooperating with me is not as bad as you think." Miller asked with a grimace, "Not so bad that I have to cooperate with a villain like him." Jian happily replied, "Villain, am I that bad?" The Holy Relic Rope said, "My master is not a villain." Miller said, "The Excavation Alliance is a bad alliance, maybe you don't know. They are all a bunch of people who don't care about the common people, they are greedy and selfish." Jian asked, "Do you know anything about them?" Miller replied, "Can I tell you here?" Jian affirmed that it was no problem. Miller said the alliance displaced people from the tomb and mined it despite the law. They appear to care about the people, but in reality they are a profiteering organization like Pandora and the Russian and Chinese alliances. And behind them is Wade Herman, he has the holy relic is Joseph Goebbels. Jian asked, "Is it the holy relic Hitler they want?" Miller replied, "Yes, their destination is the holy relic Hitler. The holy relic Hitler and Joseph Goebbels when combined is very scary, this cannot be underestimated. They want to use that power to create a new force to balance Pandora." Jian laughed and said, "Is that it, you know everything and want to stop them?" Jian immediately called for the rope to release him, the rope obeyed and slowly untied him. Jian said, "The first thing to make clear is that I do not work for them." Miller asked in disbelief, "So what, so why did you say I was working with them?" Jian replied calmly, "I was only slightly involved. I didn't like the gossip king from the start. Miller asked, how can I trust you? You can lie to me, can't you?
Jian put his hand on Miller's shoulder and said, okay, you will see it with your own eyes, just wait, I will betray them and prove my words.
The curtain has fallen, the betrayal has begun. Miller asked in confusion, what do you mean by betrayal? Jian said, isn't there a big tomb here? I want to take all of this. The play has ended, the betrayal has begun. The Excavation Alliance's plan was to conquer this crypt after I defeated you. Miller asked, why did you betray them?
Jian replied, because that was my plan from the beginning. If I cooperate with them, I won't get the full rewards after conquering the tomb and there's a chance they'll betray me too. Jian felt that the boss's scheme was too vicious, hoping that the boss wouldn't go to hell. Jian said, taking the initiative is the best way, betraying them first will definitely win, right now they still think that I'm fighting you. And we'll use it to finish this crypt off. Miller thought to himself, what a scoundrel. Jian urged the team to start the mission immediately. The team headed to the crypt. They went to the place where the blue light was coming from. Miller said, this is not the entrance to the crypt, Jian nodded. Jian immediately threw the Rubik's Cube towards the tomb and introduced, open your eyes, little brother. I wanted everything to be quick, the Rubik's Cube exploded causing a terrible shock. Miller said in confusion, he just threw a holy relic and it exploded. Jian calmly replied, this is how I do it. If you pick the weakest point of the crypt and hit it, you'll get a door. Miller says Jian is breaking the law. Jian calmly asked, what law? I don't know there is such a law. Suddenly a call came in. Jian said, he called. Jian picked up the phone and asked, what's up? The other end asked, hey, Jian, it seems like you left that place already? Jian was confused and thought, how did he know about this? The other side said, I came to help you but there's no one here, what's going on? Jian replied, you came to help me, but Miller has already left that place and I'm chasing him, wait there, I'll complete the mission right away. Jian hung up the phone still full of surprise, how could he get there, this guy really? Oh well, no problem, I'm already one step ahead of him, let's go in. Everyone went inside. Jian said, it seems like this isn't one of the 7 tombs. Jian said, isn't it, this is a big tomb. Jian explained that there were usually many traps inside the 7 tombs, and their auras were very strong, but there was nothing here. Why did Pandora not give her opinion about the tomb this time? Usually when 7 tombs appear they would talk about it immediately. Miller guessed, it seemed like this was just a normal tomb and it happened to be a big one. Jian hesitated, Miller asked in surprise, so he could predict the holy relics based on the characteristics of the crypt? Jian replied confidently, of course, you think you're the best at analyzing crypts and the holy relic, right? Sorry, but I'm number 1 in this matter. So do you think this is one of the 7 tombs? Miller also had similar thoughts with Jian. Jian sneered, really, as soon as he finished speaking, boom, a huge explosion happened. It turned out that Jian had blown up a holy relic. Miller was startled and asked in panic, why did he destroy the holy relic so indiscriminately? Jian didn't care and said, the whole team continued to move forward quickly. Everyone went up together, then they got past all the traps by destroying the holy relic. Miller always grumbled every time he destroyed the holy relic to open the way. It seems like he hasn't seen this supreme skill yet. Jian thought, this tomb is too big, I have to conquer it quickly. While walking, Jian called, boss. The deeper we go inside the environment gets dirtier, right? Jian replied, perhaps the holy relic of this crypt is a plague holy relic. Jian immediately avoided the stains and asked a little fearfully, will we get sick? Miller asked, how can you conclude that? Jian replied that it was written in the encyclopedia the holy relic. Miller was still confused, something was strange, I had my own way of finding information about the tomb and the holy relic. But now it doesn't work, like something is disturbing it. Jian thought to himself, Miller's the holy relic is disturbed. Jian tells everyone, it seems like something strange is going on, we have to hurry. This room is so big and dirty. Miller asked, how is it, do you feel anything? Jian replied, maybe we're close to the holy relic, well, because we're in a hurry. Jian said the ultimate skill loudly, boom, another holy relic was gone. Miller grumbled again, why did he do that? Suddenly a voice said, damn it, who dares to offend me? Jian was confused, what was that thing like a piece of shit? The thing asked again, intruder, who are you? Seola looked up, there were also people above, be careful. The system suddenly announced, diarrhea rage, they attacked simultaneously. Jian informed everyone quickly prepare the holy relic, we must burn them, don't let them surround us. They attacked together with fire. This makes them unbearably hot. The system continued to announce, the holy relics will continuously attack, the crypt is being reshaped, all the holy relics are gathering.
Looking at the notice, Jian suddenly thought, what? All of them?
This means there are still a lot of the holy relics here.
Why is the ground suddenly shaking? Jaeha shouted in panic, wait.
The system announced again, the crypt has been covered with many layers, you cannot escape immediately. The holy relic Goebbels is watching you, all of them will have a bad opinion of you.
Jian thought, isn't that the holy relic Wade Harmon's the holy relic? Could it be that he has been following me from the beginning? Suddenly a lot of monsters appeared.
Jian smiled wryly. Then he said, so we're framed.
Jaeha said fearfully, framed?
The monsters surrounded them and it was then that Jian realized he had lost to him from the start.
Jian used a flashlight to shine on the monsters?
He thought for a moment and said, when he led us into the crypt's aura wasn't that great, but now it seemed like everything had been planned. Plus Wade Harmon was watching us. Miller turned to look at Jian in surprise.
What? Jian said, check it out, maybe I'm wrong. Miller immediately used his strength. He checked and said, I can see the aura, it's him.
Jian said he could use the holy relic Goebbels to monitor from a distance, but to be sure he needed to supervise directly.
Do you believe me now?
He and I are not on the same team.
Miller replied, now is not the time to think about that.
Jian agreed, we have to fight these bastards, be careful not to let them hit you.
Just one light hit and you might die from some malignant disease.
The leader monster ordered the monsters to attack and kill them all. All took up their weapons and prepared to attack. First Jaeha raised his weapon towards the enemy, get out of the way, don't attack me, damn it, how are we going to get past them? Jian said while fighting, fight, this is a life and death battle.
Jian just slashed down.
The monster suddenly spoke, damn it, my body is losing strength. Jian immediately stopped fighting and turned to look at Miller and asked to borrow the holy relic.
Miller wondered, what would he borrow it for? Jian immediately used his ultimate skill to defeat the monsters. Miller angrily said, you heartless bastard. Jian said calmly, it's okay. Miller was angry, what are you talking about, you just threw away one of my holy relics. Jian said, I'll pay for it later so don't complain anymore.
Think carefully about the battle plan, the whole team obeys orders, we will definitely overcome this war. They fought the monsters together.
You guys keep killing monsters.
After a while, the monster screamed, damn it, these people, why are they so strong? Jian teased, because you guys have big brains.
Now, fire up. It's over, everyone is very tired.
Lee Seola reported, we can reuse these holy relics if they are repaired.
Jian replied, okay, show it to me. This is the holy relic map of the plague route by Dr. Jon Snow. Interestingly, this is the holy relic medical inside the plague tomb.
Miller turned back to Jian and said, there are a few more things here.
Jian immediately told him to bring them over for me to see.
Miller said, this holy relic is called Gilgamesh, the bag that Gilgamesh threw away. Jian said in surprise, it's a wonderful holy relic.
Miller said, I can't give it to you. Jian wondered, why? We don't know if this is a medical holy relic or a plague holy relic, Miller said.
I don't want this holy relic to be used carelessly. Jian said, understood, but I won't use them carelessly.
Lee Seola continued, yes, boss won't. Suddenly she kept coughing. Jian was surprised, Seola, what's wrong, are you okay? She coughed up blood.
Same with Jaeha, his mouth was bleeding a lot and more than Lee Seola. At this time the immune system is reporting that the ability to fight is increasing.
Jian thought, my immunity is increasing, which means someone is attacking me.
Miller put his hand on his chest and said, I feel like my body is sick. Jian felt that there was still something here that was making people sick.
Maybe it's the atmosphere here, if that.
He immediately pulled out the holy relic house.
Jian told everyone to go inside. Lee Seola turned back and asked, what about you? Jian replied, I need to conquer this tomb. Don't worry, I can handle it.
After Lee Seola reminded him to be careful, Jian immediately went out.
He looked up and said, you seem happy and peaceful sitting there? Do you want to kill us with this poisonous gas?
That guy said, you're amazing, to be able to discover it so quickly, but it's too late, the human body can't survive long in this atmosphere.
Jian laughed and asked, is it impossible to exist? Then how can there be a big explosion in this room?
He released a bunch of the holy relics around.
The other guy said, even if that happens, how can you escape from here? Do you want to blow yourself up? Go ahead, I don't care. Your death is certain.
Jian smirked and spoke, trying to make a mistake.
Look at my masterpiece.
The other guy screamed in surprise.
What is this?
The Aegis shield. Then the explosion hit. Ju Hian used his shield to block it.
The house is shaking, is it an earthquake? Shield panicked, you bastard, I'm going to die.
Ju Hian said, calm down little brother.
A big explosion took place. Fire broke out everywhere. Seola came out of the house and asked, what's going on boss? Shield now half broken lamented. Broken, completely broken. Heaven awaits. Ju Hian turned back and said, it's over. Everyone can go out now. He held up the holy relic and said, the legend of Hippocrates' miasma is the name of this holy relic. Li Seola wondered, poisonous gas?
Ju Hian explains that in ancient Europe, according to researchers, dirty air was caused by the decomposition of substances and it became a source of disease. Poisonous air was considered to be a carrier of disease.
However, after the discovery of the fact that bacteria or viruses were the pathogens, the miasma theory was completely forgotten.
This holy relic was born from that story. The poisoned person would be tormented by persistent pain, Miller wondered.
So before that, Ju Hian said, the low-level holy relics we fought before were just time delayers. Meanwhile, this holy relic has spread its aura and infected us. I'm sure we all have it.
The whole team was confused after hearing that. Ju Hian immediately took out a small bag and said, don't worry, I have some medicinal herbs here. Now eat this fruit. Ju Hian divided a little for each person. He gave it to Miller and told him to give it to Jaeha because the boy was already unconscious.
Ju Hian gave it to Miller and in return Ju Hian would take the other bag. Miller yelled, hey, what the hell?
I told you this is not an ordinary holy relic.
You cannot use it carelessly.
Ju Hian replied, don't worry, I'll be a miracle worker with this.
Miller said, confused, what the hell? What do you mean? Ju Hian immediately opened the jar, much to the confusion and panic of his teammates.
It stinks, Li Seola shouted.
Miller panicked, are you stupid, what are you doing?
Li Seola was also full of fear. Ju Hian drank the bottle directly, much to the fear of his juniors.
Boss, stop it, you idiot.
After Ju Hian suddenly drank the whole bottle of poison into his mouth. Li Seola said in confusion, Ju Hian, why did boss drink poison, are you crazy? Ju Hian immediately coughed up blood. Blood ran from his mouth to his hand, the other hand clutched his chest.
System notification, many viruses are entering your body. Deadly viruses have invaded your entire body.
Various infections, tumors appear and many other places start bleeding.
Ju Hian's body suddenly emitted a blue light.
The system announced again, the immunity level increased significantly by 3 times. Ju Hian thought happily, this is it, the feeling of playing with legendary toys, but it hurts so much. The system announces again, your body is full of pathogens, the holy relic will appear after you meet the conditions. Then from somewhere appeared a man with a strange shape and spoke, who is the one who awakened me? He is the god of plague, son of the goddess of hell, only those with power can see him. Ju Hian immediately spoke up, looking over here, I can meet the god's conditions, I can guarantee this. The god of plague looked at Ju Hian.
Everyone was tense.
He smiled and said, you're right, Ju Hian is quite commendable, you have the ability to endure all these tumors.
He said, human, I will make a contract with you. He and Ju Hian will be connected and he will be with Ju Hian for the rest of his life.
The system announced again that with the amount of virus in his body, Ju Hian had met the conditions of the contract with the god of plague.
Ju Hian thought, haha, luck is always on my side.
Notification system, contract completed.
Namta, the plague god from Mesopotamian mythology.
He is known to have over 60 different diseases in his body and he serves the goddess of the underworld. Perhaps because he is a holy relic rank god, the conditions for conquering him are very strange.
The conqueror must have many pathogens in his body. If you wander around the area filled with the holy relic plague, you will be eligible to fulfill the requirements of the holy relic. However, you will go to heaven before leaving here.
Then this holy relic will come to you.
After you die it will take over your body and completely use this body. Ju Hian smiled secretly.
However, in life, there is also one most important factor, luck. Now he is Ju Hian's slave.
Li Seola came to ask.
Boss, what is that? Why is there another holy relic? Ju Hian said, yes, we have obtained a very good treasure.
This is the holy relic of the plague god Namta. Miller asked in surprise, what do you mean Ju Hian?
Ju Hian replied, you still don't understand, you're so slow.
Now I have a high-level plague holy relic.
Miller angrily said, no, that is a very dangerous holy relic, it will harm many people. Ju Hian smiled and asked, what about it, is that a serious matter?
Miller said, of course, how can we use something dangerous like this? Ju Hian said, I know that, but you're too noisy. Xiao Lao was frustrated, they're starting again. Ju Hian said, he was not wrong that this was a dangerous the holy relic. Miller looked at Ju Hian with a face full of confusion. Ju Hian asked Miller, what's wrong with my face? Is there anything wrong? Nothing. Ju Hian said again, I will use this for the first and last time, then I will destroy it. How about it? Okay, Miller. Miller hesitated a moment. He asked, then what do you want to use this holy relic for? Ju Hian replied with a dangerous expression, I want to teach someone a lesson for life. On the other side a group was watching. The leader spoke with certainty, perhaps they had all reincarnated, but there was something to it. If they were dead, there should still be some traces left behind. He immediately sent his subordinates to investigate this matter. Suddenly a noise caught his attention. He asked involuntarily, what is this? What is that sound? Then from somewhere appeared a stream of water flowing towards them? Water? What kind of water was it? He shouted loudly, this is not normal water, there is a foul smell coming from it. Damn it, run away, On this side Ju Hian is controlling the plague god to create this flood. Ju Hian said while controlling, do you think you can escape? The notification system and domestic wastewater have been discharged to the entire mausoleum area. Back on the other side, the subordinates were swept away by the current and kept calling for help in vain. Notification system, target burial level in wastewater is 90%. Some people are scared when they see feces flowing with them. The flowing water takes them somewhere and then stops. The leader looked at the pile of dirt on him and said, damn, what is this? And suddenly there was a guy coughing up blood, oh my god, he was coughing up blood. The people around the leader also showed signs of illness. One of them felt physically uncomfortable, it felt horrible. Another felt very hot, his skin felt like it was swelling up. The leader looked down at his hands. Even he felt something was wrong with his body, damn it, what the hell? His skin was covered with warts, he screamed loudly in despair. The 4 people on this side have completed the mission. Yu Jeha asked Ju Hian, do you really want to destroy this holy relic? Ju Hian replied, I said I would do it. Miller looked at Ju Hian and said, sorry I misunderstood. I misjudged you. Miller continued, I used to think you were the one who would stop at nothing to obtain the holy relic. Now that I think about it, my parents should have loved each other more so that more excellent people like me could appear. Ju Hian laughed and said, you flattered me too much. Ju Hian said, after finishing your personal matters, let's leave the holy relic quickly before another danger comes. Yes. Ju Hian and Miller joined forces to destroy that thing. The holy relic was surprised, what the hell is this? Ju Hian looked at him with a face full of kindness and no hint of villainy and told him that he would have to reincarnate properly. The holy relic roared. An explosion occurred, and the divine-level holy relic was completely destroyed. Soon the catacombs began to collapse. The crypt will be destroyed along with this divine-grade holy relic. Ju Hian said to everyone, okay, let's get out of here guys. As soon as everyone got out of the crypt, it collapsed completely. Miller said goodbye to everyone, it was time to say goodbye, thank you everyone for the past days. Ju Hian nodded, okay. Jeha asked the boss, isn't he going to come with us? Ju Hian replied, our goals are the same as his. But each of us will carry out our goals in our own way. He will continue as a guardian of justice. Ju Hian said, we'll have conflicts even if we go together, right? So that's the real reason, Jeha understood. Miller said, just call me if you need help, I will always be available as agreed. Ju Hian smiled and replied, of course, remember you signed the contract. Miller laughed in response, yes, well after all everyone wasn't so bad. Then everyone greeted each other, pointed at Miller, said goodbye, and looked forward to seeing everyone again. As he said goodbye to Miller, Ju Hian said, we still have one more mission to complete this big pile of missions. Jeha greeted him but was also surprised, it's not done yet? Seeing that Miller had left, Ju Hian immediately said, go back, I need to go back to the crypt and get back the holy relic. Jeha shouted, what, didn't you destroy it already? Didn't you say that the holy relic had to be destroyed because it was threatening the world? Ju Hian told him that as long as he used it carefully, nothing would happen. Ju Hian is confident, we will use it to deal with Pandora and old man Quan. Jeha blames Ju Hian, didn't you say you promised, if so, did you lie to Miller? Ju Hian gave a confident and villainous smile and said to Yu Jeha, what promise, did I say that? Yu Jeha shouted that Ju Hian was such a scumbag. The two argued loudly, Siola stood there with her arms crossed, thinking, he's still as despicable as ever.
The holy relic plague will be carefully collected. Jae-ha scratched his head and lamented, how long will it take to collect all of it? One morning on a private island. A woman is drifting in the water. She was relaxing when a voice said, let me in. That person also shouted, I am an acquaintance of the chairman. She turned back to observe and heard the guard say, don't be rude, what right do you have, kick him out. It turned out that the person was Wade Herman. He shouted loudly demanding to see President Jean Chai-won. As soon as he saw him, he loudly said, President Jean Chai-won, please give me a moment, I am Wade Herman. She slowly walked towards him. She smirked and said, oh my god, who is this, Wade Herman? Still not dead, I thought you were dead. It seems like you've been through something terrible. He shouted angrily in front of the president. Stop talking nonsense and help me. If I'm not mistaken, you said you have the holy relic medical, help me. Before he finished speaking, you said, okay, why should I help you? She continued, it seems like you have a malignant disease, I saw Seo Ju-hyun also drank poison, he died. Wade Herman blamed her, how can you compare him to me? Ju-hyun is a monster without mercy. However, I have completed my mission. I've lured Ju-hyun into the trap you set, that's enough. All that's left is for you to take care of him inside that tomb. The girl ignored what he said, she still sat down on the chair and rested. Wade Herman angrily said, this was her fault because she couldn't kill Ju-hyun, so she had to take responsibility for everything. She looked at him and smiled, don't make such a fuss. People will think you're a chimpanzee. You were a fish on the chopping block from the start. Ju-hyun wasn't an idiot. He had a way to fight in the tomb, but he didn't know it. Wade Herman said awkwardly, however I have completed my mission. The deal you made was that you would give me the holy relic Hitler if I completed this. With a haggard face, he told her, I don't need that holy relic right now. I just need the medical holy relic. That's what we agreed on at the beginning. She winked and smiled, then said, deal, if you want to change the deal, I will also change my way of thinking. Suddenly a giant black centipede came and squeezed him. He cried out in pain, what is this? Her expression changed to a serious one. She glanced at him and said, never appear before me again. Then a light attack. Wade Herman lay motionless. Jean Chai-won bit her lips and said uncomfortably, it seems like the holy relic Goebbels was also taken away by Seo Ju-hyun, then he will probably also look for the holy relic Hitler. Then she ordered her men to clean up the place. She breathed a sigh of relief, scrolled through her phone, and said, who should I use next? While scrolling through Jean Chai-won's contacts, he was lost in thought, Ju-hyun, he's really strong. I can't even think of anyone who can beat him. She looked at the phone seriously and said, no. And then the evil aura around her suddenly became terrifying. The girl said, should I go see Ju-hyun now? One evening in New York. Ju-hyun is getting scolded, what the hell is he doing? You want to auction off the holy relic of the plague, which means you lied to me, lied to destroy it for the safety of humanity. Ju-hyun said to him, well, it seems like you're asking too much, Miller, how would you know, aren't you busy with your job as a superhero? Miller yelled, I found out because he advertised very ostentatiously. Ju-hyun said to Miller, that's true, but don't worry too much, I won't be selling malignant the holy relics. Ju-hyun said, what I auctioned today are all just ordinary holy relics. Miller asked in surprise, what ordinary holy relics, how could these holy relics appear from the plague crypt? Ju-hyun said to Miller, you know, maybe those holy relics will stop by the plague crypt for a visit, everyone needs to travel. Ju-hyun continued, I only used the holy relics of the plague to cure diseases, so don't worry superhero Miller, I will never give it to anyone else. Miller said, you must remember your promise this time. Okay, goodbye. Seo-la approached Ju-hyun and said, boss, we are ready for the auction. Ju-hyun turned back to ask Jae-ha and Seo-la, are you two ready to rake in the money? Entering the auction hall, saying the holy relic has no side effects so the holy relic can be used easily, and now there are a lot of people raising their hands. The rich people continuously bid, $500,000, $600,000, $1.2 million, $1.5 million. Jae-ha was happy to hear these continuous words, this sound, is it true? Ju-hyun laughed and said, I expected more than this. Jae-ha blushed and happily said, after this, we should go somewhere to find some cool girls, I'm a rich man. Ju-hyun immediately told Jae-ha to shut up and watch the auction floor. Jae-ha said disappointedly, why is that, aren't you going to test some of the goods? The numbers kept going up, $10 million, $15 million, there was a $20 million arm. One hand goes up, $80 million. Everyone was surprised and looked back to realize that the person who had just bid was Irene Hilton, and when they saw that someone had given up and her money was unlimited. The MC on the auction floor was embarrassed and said, the winner has been determined and it will be sold for $80 million. After Irene bought it, Jeha on this side was a bit stunned. Did she buy it? Why did she buy it and at such an exorbitant price? Could it be that she bought it for her prince? How is it going so well, boss? Ju Hyun blushed at this little boy Jeha and said, I think you've been a bit rude lately, are you kidding me? Seola was extremely confused when she saw her boss blushing and thinking, the boss and that girl, could it be? Ju Hyun after venting his anger said, don't be rude to me. Jeha turned back to look at Ju Hyun with an unconvinced attitude and said, you're so cruel to me. Seola whispered to Jeha that she had something to ask. Jeha approached and asked, what's wrong? She blushed and asked Jeha, are boss and Irene dating? Jeha thought for a moment and said, I've never heard the boss admit it, but from what I observed. Before he finished speaking, Seola panicked and asked anxiously, so what? Speak quickly. Jeha told Seola that maybe they would date soon, but why did she ask this? Could it be? Seola panicked and shouted loudly with a face that showed no shame and said, no. Jeha was startled and said, I didn't say anything, why are you shouting so loudly? Seola pointed at Jeha and said, you better forget about today's conversation, otherwise I will turn you into ashes. Then she ran away leaving Jeha behind in confusion. What happened to Seola? Seola ran while thinking in confusion, is everything really like what Jeha said? Was this why he said that? Seola's eyes filled with tears. Then she remembered the words Ju Hyun had said to her before, the previous life and this life were different. I won't force you to be loyal to me like in your previous life, you will be the one to decide your own way of life. Seola ran a distance and then stopped to catch her breath. She collapsed against the wall, tears rolling down her cheeks and a thought suddenly flashed through her mind, what should I do? Early the next morning, Seola brought reports about the farm expansion for Ju Hyun to approve. Ju Hyun quickly agreed. Fake Seola likes it, because it might be a good time for us to launch a campaign to grow herbs and distribute them there too. Boss also bragged to Seola, by playing with toys regularly I never get sick, you should go out more, try playing once to know how it feels, you will try later. But as soon as Ju Hyun finished thanking her, Seola's expression also fell. Seola asked the boss, are you planning to excavate any tombs in the near future? Ju Hyun shook his head in confusion, probably not, what's the matter? Seola said, if there's nothing else, I'll take a few days off because I'm not feeling well. She thought SEO Ju Hyun would worry about her, but all she got in return was his indifferent agreement. Lee Seola with an erratic mood contacted to leave the room. At this time Ju Hyun's phone also rang. He immediately picked up the phone and said, hello, what's up? I'm very busy, the other end of the line said, don't talk nonsense. I understand you too well. Ju Hyun replied, I'm not bragging, I'm busier than when I'm at home. It's up to you, I don't care about your business, I called because you conquered the enemy's tomb. Do you know who reported the excavation of the catacombs? Ju Hyun was surprised, the excavation report? George Hilton said, I did it myself, I brought the report to Pandora headquarters that the crypt was captured. The system then searched for information about the crypt. Reports suggest the crypt was sold to Guinness Hauger, the gourmet king, who is currently at Pandora headquarters making a fuss about losing his excavation rights. Ju Hyun chuckled lightly at this, how terrible. He thought this Pandora system was absurd. Because of the dictatorship, when the excavators have obtained excavation rights from Pandora, they will be supported in the excavation and prevent other teams from being able to take over the crypt. This is a system that was created to prevent wars between tomb excavation groups. It sounds like every place on the territory belongs to Pandora, and anyone who wants to excavate must have Pandora's permission. Of course, with power comes money, not only that, 60% of the holy relic they collected had to be returned to Pandora. It was enough to consider Pandora a scoundrel, and everyone had to obey that power. Of course Ju Hyun wouldn't follow that systematic ideology, but back to the matter, so Ju Hyun thought how he knew the tomb had been purchased in advance. You are the one in charge, you should send someone to excavate the grave. Just play your part well, I can take care of the rest. Ju Hyun said, I was the one who stole all the holy relics from the plague tomb, right? George Hilton already knew. George Hilton said, don't drag me into illegal cases, so tell me everything you collected after conquering that tomb at the auction. Ju Hyun thought George was too strict with him, those were items he brought back himself, so what if he could buy and sell them himself? That's right, buying and selling is like that, promoting social development. Often multiple people are arrested for causing a disturbance, however, an excavation group of less than 10 people will not need to report the activity. Because the system believes that a group of no more than 10 people is incapable of exploiting the crypt. So Ju Hyun had thoroughly researched the system beforehand and was able to form an excavation team of no more than 10 people. Although in his previous life, Old Kwan was a member of the Pandora organization that wanted to take everything for himself. But unlike the other 12 excavation teams, our Team 13 instead of excavating went to commit theft. And of course, even if they were caught, their group would still be safe and sound because the group had no more than 10 people, and would be safe due to the system's loophole. Thanks to that, my team has always been actively searching for the holy relic to help him stand at the top of society.
But I never expected him to betray.
Jian, after recalling many unpleasant things, told the other end of the line the main problem. In the Pandora system, groups of no more than 10 people do not need to report excavations.
It can be said that I did not break any laws.
George Hilton was surprised.
Oh, there is such a thing?
Yes, there is.
Try to find it.
Oh, by the way, help me find some bullshit reason to fool the gourmet king.
Okay. I'll help. The two people turned off the phone. Jian smiled. It was a good thing I had an insider there. City at night.
At a pub full of laughter.
Seola is decompressing alone.
She thought to herself. This was really annoying. The world has collapsed and tombs have begun to appear. The holy relics will change the lives of those who possess them. But it doesn't affect some people. I still have a huge debt and my health is getting worse.
That's when I met the Seo Jian and was invited by him to join excavation team number 13. At first everything was just a superior-subordinate relationship.
But after going through many things together, there were some strange things in me.
He always helps me in many things.
Especially when I have trouble, we seem to understand each other more and more.
I have started to have different thoughts about this relationship.
But unlike before, the final crypt was too dangerous. It took away all the lives of the team members. But thanks to the holy relic, he was revived and returned 15 years ago. Until now, he still doesn't understand what happened. From there, he used his information advantage to achieve many things.
Everything.
Even the heart of a maiden, Irene.
Meanwhile, what the hell am I doing?
He told me not to care about past lives.
So that means
he forgot everything and was moving towards a serious relationship with Irene.
Actually, I wasn't worried at first. I thought everything would be like in my previous life.
I would go with him and everyone else to explore and excavate ancient tombs. Maybe he was so engrossed in his work that he ignored me.
Seola was lost in endless thoughts.
The more she thought, the more she drank. She then put her head down and screamed. What is all this?
I didn't break up but you became my ex-boyfriend.
Seola was lost in thought. It took him and I a few months to get closer the first time.
Wasn't that the ideal amount of time?
I might have fallen for him too quickly. Suddenly the waiter placed a large glass of beer in front of her.
Seola was surprised. I didn't order this drink. The waiter replied. Today is the shop's anniversary. We give away all kinds of drinks for free. She looks depressed.
A beer will cheer her up.
Isn't beer the best drink to relieve stress? Seola was surprised and then smiled and said, that's right.
She smiled brightly and said, thank you.
I will drink it.
Then Seola held the beer cup and drank continuously. The waiter's eyes looked at Seola as she finished her beer. There was something dangerous.
A voice rang out.
My God, you're going to get in trouble if you get drunk. At this moment, the disguise of a waitress was gradually disappearing in Seola's astonished eyes. The girl spoke. I can't believe you fell for such a simple trap.
What's wrong with that, Seola? Seola was surprised. Jian Chai won. Nice to meet you. Seola tried to stand up but felt dizzy.
She collapsed unconscious. Chai Won smiled slyly. It was really hard to put this bitch to sleep.
Look, it seems you did something stupid by betraying me. And you will pay for it.
At an empty lot, a group of people dragged Seola out of the car. Then they pushed her to the ground.
The Chai Won woman stepped forward and said, Oh, you're awake. Well, it doesn't matter since we're here. Seola tried to stand up and asked. Ah, where is this? What are you going to do to me?
The woman walked over and kicked Seola hard and said.
What am I going to do to her?
Guess what? Seola cried out in pain. Then the woman strangled Seola.
Chai Won smiled slyly and said. First I will borrow this beautiful face. This way I can get close to Jian easily. And then what? I'll kill him with my own hands.
Seola was scared when she saw her face gradually changing to look like hers.
The holy relic transformed. This was bad.
Gradually her face changed to look exactly like Seola's. Chai Won said confidently.
What do you think? Not a bad plan. Seola tried to reply. Hee, don't make me laugh. Jian won't be defeated that easily. Chaiwan said with a smile. Oh really? I don't care. No matter how great he is. I will kill him. Humans will always have weaknesses. He will never know that I disguised myself as you. Unless you tell him. Chaiwan continued. What should I do so you can't talk? Of course I will shut you up by force. She continued laughing. Have I ever told you about my holy relic power? I can build a tomb anywhere I want. She then used her power to create a purple circle around Seola. Suddenly the ground where Seola was lying broke, causing her to fall. Chaiwan continued. I hope you like it. This is a special tomb I built just for you. There is no holy relic in there. Just traps. Lots of them. You should reflect on yourself for betraying me while you're in there. Of course, if you can survive to think, Seola thought worriedly. Damn it. She was worried. Ju Hyun was in danger. At Ju Hyun's house. Fake Seola opened the door and entered with eyes filled with murderous intent. She looked inside and thought. This house looks nice. Is anyone here? Does he live alone? He lives with that traitor. Well, I'm glad there's no one else. I won't have any trouble with his subordinates. It's a bit reckless to charge into the tiger's den like this. Where is he? Ju Hyun? She licked her lips with delight, thinking. Let the hunt begin? Then she opened the door and walked into a room and said, I'm home. She saw Ju Hyun in the room and thought, here it is, a coincidence. Hearing Ju Hyun's voice, he turned around and asked, Seola. What's wrong? Didn't you ask for leave? Fake Seola raised her hand and scratched her head. I changed my mind. After going out and having a few beers. I think I'm fine. Ju Hyun said. You don't have another chance. You should take a break. Or you'll regret it when we're busy. Seola Fake replied. Thanks for the advice. You're welcome. Seola Fake thought to himself. Ha, I knew for sure that he wouldn't notice it. Of course it would because this was a complicated camouflage technique. Not only did he use the holy relic disguise but he also used illusionary the holy relics, even if he died, this guy still wouldn't notice. She walked over and grabbed Ju Hyun's hand, saying, Ju Hyun, I have something to tell you. Ju Hyun replied. Just say it. But something is strange. Why do I look so old today? She got angry when she heard Ju Hyun say he was old. Ju Hyun approached her and continued, if you look closely you look 10 years older. Oh boss, why all of a sudden? Ju Hyun said. Is it because I worked so hard as Jin Chae-woon's henchman? You're crazy. Hearing that, she thought, you bastard, can't you talk nicer? Ju Hyun continued. I should have met you sooner. I suffered by being with her. Fake Seola was shaking with anger but still tried to act as gentle as possible and said, oh, I don't need to worry about you like that. Ju Hyun said. No way, you always said that place was hell on earth. She thought to herself, damn Seola. I should have tortured you more. Seola, if you're still alive, I swear I'll torture you until you go crazy. She still tried to say, that's right. How could there be such a crazy woman? All her subordinates complained about it. Also, I have some information for you. After hearing her say that, Ju Hyun smiled and grabbed her neck, surprising her. Ju Hyun said. Thank you for confessing, Jin Chae-woon. I guessed the crazy woman correctly. Seeing that she had been discovered, she pushed Ju Hyun's hand away and asked loudly. Damn it, how did you know? Ju Hyun said. Are you stupid? I knew it from the beginning. The woman was surprised. What do you mean, the holy relic illusion doesn't work on you? That's impossible. Ju Hyun said with a sly smile. I would have been fooled if you had come earlier. A few minutes ago while researching the territories. The system suddenly displayed. A strange source of the holy relic energy was approaching. That crow told me. So I knew someone was going to approach me and I guessed it was this woman. Thanks to the 2 holy relics, she was very confident. But however, I don't want to confront her now. Jin Chae-woon. I don't have the strength to solo her right now. This is getting tough. Then she returned to her original form. Ju Hyun said. She finally revealed her true face. Then she drew her weapon. You old witch. Hearing him say that made her even angrier. A terrifying murderous aura appeared around her. She said. Don't mess with me. If you could just shut up and take one stab from me, you would probably die a painless death. But unfortunately, that's not the case. I don't think you can recognize me. You are really talented. But unfortunately, you will have to be buried here. System alert. A terrible energy source is near you. The energy is spreading throughout the house. Suddenly, something liquid appeared on the floor. Jian said. What the hell is this slime? No way. This is part of the tomb. She said. Yes. My holy relic is different from other holy relics. I can build a tomb anywhere, anytime. Jian said. I don't know what that holy relic is. But that's an unusual holy relic. He thought to himself. I've never seen this before. Suddenly Jian felt pain in his hand. Lin looked up and saw that her hand was showing signs of ulceration. The system continues to notify, you are in contact with a huge source of the holy relic energy. That energy can turn people into zombies in just a few seconds. Suddenly a voice rang out. It hurts. Oh my god, it really hurts. Master, save me. Jian felt that the situation was really not good. He immediately thought. Damn it, I naively thought that fighting in the holy relic warehouse would be beneficial to me. But these holy relics basically cannot withstand this kind of energy. If so, then run. Then Jian turned and ran away. She was furious. Do you think you can escape me? Jian turned his head and said. Guess the old lady. The other holy relic said in pain. It hurts. Oh my god. Jian took out the Van Gogh painting and said. You guys come in here. We should run and review the situation. Jian thought. Luckily the door didn't turn into part of the crypt. Escaping was his forte. Suddenly the door was covered by that strange thing. Jian Chai once said. You think you can escape from here easily? There will be no way for you. You will have to stay here with me. Now all you can do is kiss my feet and kneel down and beg for my forgiveness. Jian thought. She turned the entire house into a mausoleum. Then I can use my ultimate skill to destroy the tomb. Jian then took out a jar from the Van Gogh painting. He then threw it away saying. It's ridiculous, she thought these things could stop me. Then a big explosion happened. This caught her by surprise. What the hell? Destroy the holy relic. Her holy relic said. That's it. It's the strange skill I told you about. He used a blast of the holy relic inside the crypt and created a large hole to escape. He is a man of poor character. But there was something Jian didn't expect. The explosion had no effect on this tomb. What? No effect? She said with amusement. Who would think that low-grade skill could affect my tomb? The tomb I built cannot be easily destroyed. Jian was really uneasy this time thinking. Damn. This holy relic is too awesome. She then used a burst of power to attack Jian. The system panel keeps showing notifications. You are exposed to a very strong energy source. The rank persistence passive cannot withstand the poison and starts to get infected. The infection level is increasing. At this point something gradually affects Jian. Jian felt an excruciating pain in his body. Damn it. If this continues I might die. I have to do something before my body is completely poisoned. Thinking is doing. Jian immediately pulled out a sword and said. Alright Jian Chai 1. She said. That sounds stupid. Listen. From now on I will not hesitate to destroy anyone who resists. Apply to people always, sword. Hearing that, the sword immediately flew out of Jian's hand. After running away, he said. Forgive me, master. I cannot fight. What do you mean? Come back here. The sword trembled and said. I dare not oppose him. I do not want to be destroyed. Jian was furious. Damn it, what are you talking about? She laughed and said. This is what I expected. You probably already know what rank my holy relic is. All your lowly holy relics can't do anything to my holy relic. The holy relic has a mind of its own. No matter what their master's orders are, they will still tremble before stronger holy relics. Jian tried to speak. She said too much. There must still be some of my holy relics that can fight her. Jian took out the Van Gogh painting wanting to take some items to use as weapons. The Van Gogh painting trembled as he spoke. Master, I cannot obey your orders. I cannot take them out. Jian whispered. Hurry up or I'll smash you to pieces. The painting was still shaking. She continued. Haha, how silly. Just surrender and beg for mercy and you will live. A holy relic user who can't use the holy relic is trash.
She then continued to use her power to attack Jian. Jian was at her limit and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. She said excitedly, "I'll make this fun more interesting. I'll slowly torture you." She smiled wickedly. "Torturing you the way you destroyed your holy relics. Does it make you happy?" Jian's legs almost lost all strength and collapsed. Jian thought, "I can't hold on any longer." Her power continued to attack, causing Jian to cough up blood repeatedly. Suddenly a voice rang out. "It seems you are almost out of breath. You are not used to life and death situations like this. It is not like your usual self. Have you forgotten this feeling?" Jian chuckled and said, "How funny. You think these things can make me give up?" She saw this guy mumbling and asked, "What nonsense are you talking about? Are you crazy?" Jian stood up and said, "Damn crow." She saw Jian standing up and said in surprise, "You can stand up." "Impossible, you can resist chronic poison." System said, "My power is limited. I cannot protect you for long." Jian wiped the blood from his mouth and said, "You want me to quickly finish this old woman?" "Agreed." Then Jian charged straight at her. "Damn it." The system said, "I told you. I can't stay." Jian swung a fist at her and said, "You want me to kneel down? Then take the punch." The punch was dodged by her. "Take my superpower punch." Jian hit the opponent. She said angrily, "Damn you bastard." Another voice rang out. "Now I understand this is the crow's energy." She asked the crow in confusion. The voice continued to ring. "But he was currently imprisoned. What is your relationship with him?" "Ha ha. What is this?" The energy is increasing terribly. A giant spider-like creature appeared and said, "I know it is you. Crow. This time I will kill you with all my might." Jian looked at the situation and said, "Jean Chai won. It seems like she lost control of her holy relic. It's now deformed." The system said, "Why did you provoke him?" The spider screamed, "I must kill you." Then it continuously attacked towards Jian. "You can't escape me." Suddenly the ground was no longer flat but curved in an inexplicable way. Jian tripped. "Damn it." The spider rushed towards Jian and said, "I will kill this guy first. I hope you won't regret cooperating with that crow. Repent. Goodbye, fool." Jian suddenly laughed and said, "Haha, you think that's the end? What?" Suddenly a blue beam of light shot towards the spider. Chaiwan was also attacked. "What is this? Who dares to disturb me?" The holy relic rope appeared and said, "Don't bully my master." Jian said in surprise and emotion. "Rope." The rope said, "I've been by the master's side since the beginning of the session." Jian said in surprise. "Huh, the rope wasn't affected by that holy relic?" Rope replied, "Besides, I have many other holy relics protecting you. I will give you a special gift." The rope system has just received a new skill. The rope is a legendary achievement in the world of the holy relic. Achieved a new achievement. The holy relic is always by the owner's side. The sword just now trembled and said, "Damn it, rope. How dare you attack that holy relic? Are you tired of living?" The rope shouted, "Can't you just watch the fight quietly?" The rope began to continuously attack the spider. The sword trembled and said to the painting, "We will all die." The rope still steadfastly attacked that giant spider. That rope really did it. Now we will all die. The Van Gogh painting said, "Do you want to stop that stupid rope?" The sword replied, "It's too late. We're all going to die because of that stupidity of a rope. Fuck it. I don't want to die." The crowd is in an uproar. So we just wait like this. We'll do something. It's useless. The result is the same. Even though all of us can't do anything about it. The spider said fiercely. "This lowly holy relic. Can you be obedient?" The spider roared angrily. "You must be destroyed." The spider used its strength to throw the rope away. The rope screamed in pain. "Ah, it hurts." The rope flew back to Jian's side. Jian saw that and said,
Damn it. Rope.
Don't push yourself too hard. The crow said to Jian.
We don't have another chance. My protection will disappear soon. Jian said. But I can't leave the rope.
If I leave, I will lose it forever. If it continues to fight, it will be destroyed and I will not be able to restore it.
The rope was still very determined at this moment. I cannot lose. I cannot lose. Can't lose. Ah.
Suddenly the rope emitted a dazzling light.
The system appears immediately. System notification.
The poison from the rope's body has been purified.
The rope's body has been reborn because of super strong determination. The rope glows.
The holy rope has received a little grace from heaven, rank S, legendary, super the holy relic.
The rope has evolved to rank S. The spider was surprised. No way, at times like this you could evolve. The other holy relics also exclaimed in surprise. What happened? I have never heard of something like this. My grandmother once said that if you can achieve extraordinary results, you can become chaos.
Huh, the holy relic also has a grandmother.
He really evolved and became stronger. He really is crazy. The spider said angrily. Crow, is this your work? You want to destroy the holy relic's ranking system.
If so, there will be a lot of turmoil, there will be traitors.
You planned all this.
The other holy relics continued to chatter.
This is great news.
Quickly, convey this to the holy relic worlds. The holy relic can evolve on its own.
Quickly convey this.
But my grandmother said we need a great master to evolve.
Master, that means if we stay loyal to Jian, we can also evolve. That spider is so angry. These guys.
Whoever says another word, I will destroy him. The painting Van Gogh and the bronze sword quickly said, oh, forgive me, don't crush me. Then the spider turned to the rope and said, then I will destroy you first. The rope said tauntingly.
Oh, try it. Try it.
Then the rope rushed to the spider and hit it continuously.
The spider screamed. You bastard, how dare you?
The crow said to Jian.
Come on. We have to get out of here. This is your last chance. You probably didn't expect a miracle to happen a second time, right?
Even though the rope had just evolved,
it had regained its strength. And even if it was S rank, it wouldn't last long. That's right.
Even though the rope is rank S, it still can't beat the spider.
Suddenly cracks appeared in the tomb.
Jian saw that and asked.
What is that? Why did the crack suddenly appear? The crow said, that's because right now that spider can't concentrate anymore. Jian said. I see. This is an artificial tomb created by that spider.
Suddenly a new idea appeared in Jian's head.
I have an idea. The crow said. I felt a little uneasy.
Then Jian ran back towards the spider.
The crow saw this and said in horror. Why did you run straight in like that? Jian said as he ran. If we run away, I will lose a lot of the holy relic.
Even though I can find other the holy relics to replace them, it is impossible.